Had a great time at the party and thought he was good to drive home. Now, Bobby's facing jail time, an upset wife, disappointed parents, and up to a $10,000 fine. It only takes one bad decision to change your world forever. Getting behind the wheel after you've been drinking is one of them. Drive sober or get pulled over. Learn more at NHTSA.gov. That's NHTSA.gov. This message brought to you by NHTSA.
Home of the Philadelphia Eagles.
They've got him! It's a sack!
Sixers.
Oh, baby!
And Flyers.
He scored!
97.3 ESPN. WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City. A Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey.
Isn't it about time for somebody's favorite radio program?
Yeah. 97.3 ESPN presents The Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
When I'm driving, I got a guy on the radio who talks to me. I can't see him, but he talks to me.
Now, live from inside the Ocean Casino Resort Studio, here's Mike Gill.
Welcome to Eagles Game Day. Yes, I know it's a preseason game, but I mean, we didn't have football for months and months. I'm glad we have football back in our lives. And you can hear the game right here on 97.3 ESPN. Pre-game coverage starts at 6 p.m. And the Hall of Famer Mel Reek and Mike Wick. All the action on 97.3 ESPN. So we have a lot of Eagles conversations, but we also have Phillies conversations because the Philadelphia Phillies won for the first time this year when trailing by 3 or more runs. That is correct. They won a game for the first time when trailing by 3 or more runs. And Kyle Schwarber did it last night. And if you were listening yesterday on the Sports Bash here on 97.3 ESPN, Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill again here on a Thursday, we had Matt Gill from The Athletic, and he said this Phillies team needs to hit a home run. He said this Phillies team needs to go out there and have somebody hit a home run to kind of get them off the schneid, and that will uplift them to a victory. Well, Kyle Schwarber didn't just hit a home run. He hit a grand slam. And from the moment Schwarber hit that home run, the Marlins bats went quiet. From the fourth inning on, the Phillies scored 7 of their 9 runs. And their pitching staff locked down the Marlins the rest of the game. The bullpen deserves a ton of credit for that win last night. So we'll get to all that. Here's what's coming up on the Sports Bash. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill on a Thursday edition on 97.3 ESPN. The Athletic NFL writer Ted Nguyen will join us. Ted was going to talk about today kind of like a big picture on the state of the Eagles and how they line up against the rest of the NFL, because I think that part of the conversations that we have been having is when you have the people who don't believe in this team, when you have the people who don't believe in them, or they seem to point to a lot of, I can't believe I'm saying this, they're almost pointing to things that you can't measure. They're almost negative intangibles, or they're made up intangibles. So we're going to get Ted's perspective. Ted has a lot of film study about what Kellen Moore's offense is looking like, what Vic Fangio's defense will look like, and what we can expect from this NFL season. So we got that coming up here. Also, football for Andrew DiCecco is going to join us. He was at the Eagles joint practice on Tuesday. He will be keeping a close eye on tonight's action. We know a lot of starters will not play tonight, but Andrew DiCecco has been zeroed in on a lot of these position battles, and Andrew's going to give you a full breakdown of who is in line to make this team or not for the 2024 season. Also, we got Eagles coverage coming up at 5 o'clock tonight with Chris Franklin from NJ Advanced Media. He'll give us a breakdown, not just the Eagles, but a little NFC East talk as well. Knicks Nuggets, don't forget, coming up at 4:30. And in the 3 o'clock hour, somebody agrees with me about Rob Thompson. I'm going to play for you guys the audio in the 3 o'clock hour for you Rob Thompson haters, because there seems to be way more of them than I thought. I'm going to play audio for you in the 3 o'clock hour. Somebody agrees with something I said about Rob Thompson. And I want to know from all of you sports fans out there, give me non-Phillies fans, okay? You Met fans, you Yankee fans, you all can chime in at 609-403-0973 and the DMs into 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. Someone who is not a Phillies fan agrees with my perspective on Rob Thompson. That's the tease coming up at 3 o'clock tonight. Sorry, today. But before we get to the text board at 609-403-0973, I will say we have to talk about the Phillies, and I don't see anyone texting before the show. See, I'm going to call you guys out. There were some of you who were texting before the show even began on Monday and Tuesday and yesterday on Wednesday, complaining about Rob Thompson, complaining about the Phillies. But you don't bring the same energy when the Phillies win. So I'm going to sit here and make up for the energy that some of you won't bring. I'm going to tell you right now, last night may have been the start of something special. Because getting that win last night against the Marlins finally was the moment where it felt like the ballpark came alive for the first time in weeks. The Phillies team came alive for the first time in weeks. And for the first time in weeks, you had a 6, 7, 8, 9 of complete lockdown pitching from the Phillies bullpen. Last night was the prototype for how this team can win in the postseason. When they lost these recent games, 5-0 to the Marlins, 12-5 to the Diamondbacks, 11-1 to the Diamondbacks, the Phillies did not look like the team that won 62 games to start the year. They looked like it against the Dodgers in that series. But outside of a couple wins here or there, the Phillies have been a losing baseball team. And I remember yesterday that we talked with Mike Gill from The Athletic, and he said this team needs to get over that 70-win hump. They need to get over that bridge. And they finally did it last night. And now tonight, you got Zach Wheeler. And you have 3 straight days of left-handed pitching. So you know that means Stott and Marsh are going to have some days off. But you could argue, as I did yesterday here on 97.3 ESPN, Josh Hennig hanging out with you on a Thursday afternoon, that maybe Marsh should at least play one of those games because Patrick Corbin is an abomination of a pitcher at this point. So maybe you do tell Marsh to go out there and swing against him. But last night, it did not have a good vibe. It was no bueno, I texted somebody last night. Being down in that game the way they were. After 2 innings, you're down 3-1. The third inning, you're down 3-2. And you're starting to be like, oh man, here we go. They're going to struggle to try to win this game. And then the bottom of the fourth comes along. And Kyle Schwarber hits that grand slam. And the bank erupted. If you were like me, not at the game and watching it on television, it was a clear audio distinction between the crowd murmuring before the at-bat and then the Schwarber home run. And despite the fact that Kyle Schwarber went 1 for 4 last night, that one big hit was a massive moment. And it seemed to propel the Phillies to have not just a win, but for the first time, as I said, this season, they won a game when trailing by 3 or more runs. Bryce Harper had 2 hits last night. Alec Boehm had 2 hits. Stott had 2 hits. Realmuto had 2 hits. Even Marsh got in the action with 2 hits. The Phillies actually looked like the team that they should be. Now, it doesn't mean they're winning the World Series. It doesn't mean they're going to go on a 20-game winning streak. But sometimes you just got to win a game to get off the schneid. Sometimes one win can change your faith in this team. We played the audio yesterday where Kyle Schwarber said, "We are frustrated. We are not worried." And Kyle Schwarber proved it last night. And this is now 2 straight outings that Jeff Hoffman has looked like all-star Jeff Hoffman again. 3 strikeouts yesterday. Hoffman getting back on track. Schwarber continuing to hit. Harper having way more productive at-bats last night. These are the kind of wins that can recalibrate a team. And now if they can go into this Washington series, take 3 out of 4, let's say, before they hit the road for a tough road trip. This is the moment to get on a winning streak. This is the moment to kind of set yourself up for the opportunity. And with the possibility that Ranger Suarez will either be back on August 20th or August 25th, you could be heading into the month of September with a team that gets rolling at the right time. Because sometimes it's all about mentality. Sometimes it's all about belief. I was explaining this to somebody last night. You know, belief is a powerful thing. World history, not just sports history, world history is full of people who believe they could accomplish something. And they did it. Just a little history sidebar for those of you who maybe you didn't learn anything in school because your teachers don't actually know history. Ulysses Grant was never supposed to win the war. He was never even supposed to be the general of the United States Northern Armies. He had to fight tooth and nail for the opportunity to be the head of the army. And he helped win the war at every tier of his advancement up the ranks. But he was despised by the people he went to West Point with. He was looked down upon because of his lack of conformity. He was looked down upon for his stoicism. But he had this powerful self-belief in his skills and his ability that he literally won a war that people said that they were going to lose. If you go back to the newspaper clippings from the 1860s, they said they were going to lose the war because of him, and they won the war because of him. Sports is not that different. Sometimes you just got to keep fighting and fighting and fighting. And if you're going to win the war, if you're going to win the World Series, if you're going to survive 162 games, you're going to have to endure losing streaks. The 2022 Phillies had 3 5-game losing streaks. 3 different times that season where they lost 5 games in a row. But guess what? They got to the World Series. They endured the tough times. That's why it was significant when Kyle Schwarber said, hey, we've done this before. We've survived this before. You know, the 2008 Phillies, they lost 7 games in September of that year. I'm sorry, in June of that year. And they won the World Series. I mean, it was a rough month of June. for the 2008 Phillies. But guess what? They won the World Series. And the next year, they had a 6-game losing streak, also in June. Sometimes the middle of the summer just bites you, the dog days of summer. And I think that we need to look at last night and realize that sometimes you just got to get a win to get off the schneid. And it's real convenient that anonymous texter at 609-403-0973 says, wow, what an accomplishment. We beat the Marlins. It is an accomplishment. Because you got to win to break the losing streak. And this is the problem with anonymous texters like this person, who sent 4 different emojis on his text to 609-403-0973. You're probably the person who complains about everything in life. Nothing's ever good. Someone hands you a bag of money, it's too heavy. Someone buys you a new car, you don't like the color. Someone buys you a new house, you don't like how the lawn is cut. You don't like the paint job on the outside. I think you're just a miserable person. So we're going to move on from that anonymous texter. 609-403-0973. Way more respect for Jeff in Galloway. He says, if we're being honest, it was the Marlins we beat, so let's wait and see after the 4-game series with the Nationals. That's a more reasonable answer. Because 1, Jeff and Galloway put his name on the text. Number 2, Jeff and Galloway wasn't condescending. So here's the deal, Jeff and Galloway. I get it. It is the Marlins. But aren't you supposed to beat the team you're supposed to beat? If a team is a bad team, are you not supposed to beat them? So isn't part of being a team that is 20 games over 500 being the team that beats the bad teams? It's part of the job, is it not? It's part of the job description. And I'm looking forward to this national series because I want to know how they handle not 1, not 2, but 3 left-handed pitchers coming up against the Nationals. But sometimes you got to beat the bad team to find your swagger again, to find your mojo, to recalibrate, to hit that measurement on the scale. 609-403-0973. Kevin chimes in and says, hey, Josh, maybe the Phillies just didn't want to peak too early, and that's why they went on a losing streak. Maybe not literally, but still, you get my point. By the way, what are you looking to see from the Eagles game tonight? Kevin, I'll get to the Eagles a little bit later because I do have some thoughts on what I'm looking for in the game tonight. But you're right. It's not that the Phillies went out and said, we want to lose a bunch of games. But I think the Phillies realized that London trip really threw off their entire season. And if you notice, most of the struggles, most of the foibles, most of the problems they were having was after that London series. Injuries, losing streaks, cold streaks for hitters. It was all after that London game. You could argue that London game did more damage to the Phillies season than anything else. So maybe they didn't literally say, we don't want to peak too early, but maybe they just looked at it as being like, look, we just got to survive July. We got to survive a couple days in the wilderness to find ourselves again. (609-403-0973). How about a Josh texting Josh on 97.3 ESPN? I'm Josh Hennig, filling in for Mike Gill here on the Sports Bash. But Josh from Vineland chimes in and says, I'll take the hit. As one of the fans who is talking garbage. But to be fair, up to the Schwarber Grand Slam, the Phillies felt outplayed and outpitched. And Josh, that's the exact reason why that moment could have been the game changer. Because I'm telling you, Josh from Vineland, that was the first time since the Dodgers series that the Phillies clubhouse looked like they woke up. It was the first time that you looked into the dugout and you said, they're engaged again. They're paying attention again. They're refocused, remotivated, recalibrated, whatever you want to call it. There was confidence in that Rob Thompson walk to the mound, the call in the bullpen. There was confidence in that dugout when they saw Strom and Hoffman and Estevez come into the game. There was a different sense to that team after that Schwarber grand slam. And that's why the win last night was important. Because Josh and Violin, as you said, they were getting outplayed and outpitched by an inferior team until Kyle Schwarber said enough is enough. Watch this baby go long and deep into the night. And guess what? The Phillies finally woke up. So I am going to be grateful for this win because the Phillies finally woke up. It was the first time since the Dodgers series that I looked around and I was like, okay, Phillies got it figured out. Phillies are doing something here. 609-403-0973. I always enjoy some of these texts because before I read this text, and I don't know this person because they didn't leave their name, but I will let you know that I get texts sometimes that remind me of the guy who comes up to me in the gym and starts trying to mansplain to me about health and fitness. When, one, if you've ever met me, you would know that I obviously have a clue of what I'm doing in the gym. And number two, I have 4 health and fitness certifications, 3 of them through the National Academy of Sports Medicine. Because at one point, I was a full-time personal trainer and nutritionist. So this text really does remind me of somebody who is trying to mansplain to me history. And for anyone who also knows me, they would know that I'm a history major. And my book I just finished a few months ago was the biography of Ulysses Grant. But okay, random guy on the text board at 609-403-0973 is trying to tell me the North was always supposed to win the Civil War. That is not true. Where's that audio clip where the guy says, that's not true? The South was actually in a position to win the war for a couple reasons. One, because the Europeans actually wanted the South to win the war because the South made deals with them to export trade at a discount for them. And number two, the South had much better military leadership heading into the war. Some of the best generals and colonels and commanders of that era were all Southerners. They had the manpower, they had the passion, they had the initiative. The North never really wanted to fight. The majority of the Northerners had zero interest in having a war. They were mad at Lincoln because Lincoln getting elected was the reason why the war happened. So the North was not always supposed to win the war. That's a flaw. That's a fallacy. The other party says they thought Grant was a dummy because they thought he was an idiot at West Point and believed he was an alcoholic when he was assigned to the Pacific. Well, if you go back to when he was at West Point, there's a deeper reason why. And we don't have time to get into, but Grant didn't actually agree with some of the military philosophy of the era. And there's a lot of stuff being taught at West Point in the 1830s and 40s that Grant thought was actually not smart. So he didn't score well on some of his tests because he didn't agree with some of their military philosophy. And because he was a Midwesterner and didn't come from an affluent family, and he kind of like backweight his way into West Point, he was considered an outsider. Now, when he was in the Pacific, there is truth to the fact that he was an alcoholic. He had a drinking problem after the Mexican-American War, to the point where he was embarrassed to go home and see his own family. So, congratulations, Texture. You just wasted half of our audience's interest in talking about the Phillies by trying to mansplain to me history after I just read like a 10,000 page book about Grant and I'm already a history major. But thanks. Appreciate it. I mean, come on, man. Guys who put his name on it. See, like, for example, Jeff from Galloway. Jeff from Galloway is a real man. He came with his opinion. So did Josh from Violent. Came with their opinion, stuck to their point, and we had a conversation about it. Coming up next, a man who does not need to be overly explained anything is Ted Nguyen. He is the NFL writer for The Athletic. We'll get deeper into it with him about the Eagles' new offense and defensive coordinators and what he is seeing from them and also the NFL in comparison to Philadelphia Eagles. I'm Josh Hennig, filling in for Mike Gill here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN FM and a 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
Wake up weekday mornings from 6 to 10 a.m. with Unsportsmanlike on 97.3 ESPN with Evan Cohen, Super Bowl champion Chris Canty, and Michelle Small.
Can't wake up without it.
Brought to you by the Gallery Bar Book and Games at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
If you own a timeshare, don't miss this public service announcement from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. If you really want out of your timeshare, hang the phone up immediately or throw that mail piece in the trash and contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance with your timeshare. As the only Inc. 500 timeshare cancellation company, our knowledge, experience, and results has made Wesley a trusted resource for over 40,000 families we've helped get out of their timeshare. Give us a call and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about your timeshare and all of your options for cancellation.
Call for your free info kit, 800-403-5566. That's 800-403-5566. 800-403-5566.
Hi, welcome to Staples.
Yeah, my daughter needs a laptop for college, but I need to watch the budget.
Well, Staples hot deals on tech are backed by a price match guarantee, so our prices won't be beat.
Great. I can't believe my baby's starting college.
She'll do great.
I know.
Oh, let's get you a great deal on a laptop.
Save big on tech for school at Staples. Now get up to $300 off select PCs. NC 24 price match guarantee valid within 14 days of purchase. Exclusions apply. For details, visit staples.com/price match.
Tired of hearing scary radio ads about the IRS? Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000 or $500,000, we have a solution. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS with zero risk to you. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with a BBB. End your tax nightmare today by visiting TRA.com or call 800-275-3490. That's 800-275-3490.
Must qualify for enrollment. Results may vary.
Shop the Sherwin-Williams 4-day super sale and get 40% off paints and stains from August 16th through the 19th. With prices starting at $29.39, it's the perfect time to transform your space with color. Whether you're looking to revamp your bedroom, living room, or home office, we have you covered with bold hues, soothing neutrals, and everything in between. Shop the sale online or visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues? Who are you? Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Timmy, everybody. Great job. Next up for our 5th grade class recital, we have Samantha.
10 times better performance can make a big difference. Castrol Edge Motor Oil gives your engine 10 times better high-stress performance. Castrol Edge, better oil for maximum performance. Now through December 28th, Castrol Edge and Edge High Mileage Motor Oil are on rollback at Walmart.
Claim based on sequence 9 test under high-load conditions versus API SP test limits.
Introducing Dr. Marty's Nature's Blend, a premium freeze-dried raw dog food.
I have been feeding them Dr. Marty's freeze-dried raw formula for years, and this food is a big part of why their joints are more flexible, their teeth are cleaner, and their coats shinier, and why they seem more youthful and playful.
And dog parents across the U.S. are loving it.
My dog Hazel is a 10-and-a-half-year-old golden retriever, and ever since I've been feeding her Dr. Marty's Nature's Blend food, she is like a puppy again. It's unbelievable.
We're so confident your dog will love it. Your order is backed with a 90-day guarantee. And for a limited time, save up to 54% off Nature's Blend and get a free bag of Cod Krispies. They're wild caught, ultra crunchy cod skin treats. Go to drmartypets.com/deal or text DEAL to 511-511. Text DEAL to 511-511 today. All dogs are unique. Your dog results can and will vary. Message and data rates may apply.
Getting behind the wheel after drinking could change your world. Bobby here had a great time at the party and thought he was good to drive home. Now, Bobby's facing jail time, an upset wife, disappointed parents, and up to a $10,000 fine. It only takes one bad decision to change your world forever. Getting behind the wheel after you've been drinking is one of them. Drive sober or get pulled over. Learn more at NHTSA.gov. That's NHTSA.gov. This message brought to you by NHTSA.
97.3 ESPN has teamed up with Seize the Deal for incredible weekly offers from some fantastic local restaurants. Here's this week's big deal.
Get a $50 gift card, good for use, at Sassy Cafe and Suites in Mullica Township for just $25.
Get this great deal starting Friday at 9 a.m. at seizethedeal.com. Hurry, chances are this deal will sell quickly. For more info on this great deal, go to seizethedeal.com.
Seizethedeal.com.
You're listening to the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
Never thought this radio stunt would catch on so big.
On 97.3 ESPN.
Josh Hennig back here on the Sports Bash, filling in for Mike Gill. Eagles game day tonight on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. We will get back to text board in just a bit, 609-403-0973 in your DMs into the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. But right now, we're going to get back to the football because the Eagles preseason game 2 is tonight. You know, it's going to be very interesting because when you look at what is going on tonight is the next step in the larger plan. And we'll talk with Ted Nguyen from The Athletic in just a minute. We're connecting with him to get him on right now. But when you look at the Eagles going into tonight, this is now going to be the second opportunity for the new coordinators, Kellen Moore, Vic Fangio, to get more, shall we call it, real-time repetitions of their system. So what does that mean? Well, let's talk with The Athletic's NFL writer, Ted Nguyen, joining us right now here on 97.3 ESPN. Ted, welcome in. How you doing today?
Good. I am joining you from Colts and Cardinals camp, so I apologize if the connection's a little shoddy, but glad to be on today. I'm
glad to have you on. Well, you mentioned Colts because that's where Shane Steichen is. So I want to ask you, because we've been having this conversation, you know, the Eagles fired 90% of their coaching staff from last year. Completely new coordinators on offense and defense. So for you, just kind of big picture, knowing what the Eagles were doing with Sirianni and Steichen previously, now looking at Kellen Moore coming in here, what does that say to someone like you who watches the film like you do?
Yeah, you know, I watched the Eagles offense a lot last year, and the year before that, I was a big fan of what Shane Steichen did. I just loved the way he attacked defenses, found weaknesses, and I just loved the overall package that he put together for Jalen Hurts. And the next year, watching the Eagles, they tried to do a lot of the same things they did the previous year. The offense got steamed. I wrote an article about how running concepts that were sound, but it just wasn't a lot of evolution in the offense. And defenses kind of figured them out. They started playing a lot of quarters, which is what college defenses did against spread offenses. And they just didn't really have an answer for that. And they just didn't add a lot of new tweaks and things to their offense. And then you watch the Colts offense when they had Anthony Richardson before he was hurt. And they were doing so much creative things with the option, so many creative formations and motions. And I see them doing that here this year. And I think the idea of bringing Kellen Moore in is to, you're going to, of course, you're going to run those option plays with Jalen Hurts, but bring Kellen Moore in, who is a very creative mind, to try to infuse some of that creativity that Steichen had in this offense. So I thought it was a good hire. I was always a fan of Kellen Moore and his offenses. So, I'm excited to see what he injects into this Eagles offense.
Jason Kelce said after the season, after he retired, that he thought the offense lacked creativity last year. Is Kellen Moore the kind of guy that brings more creativity to the table?
Yes, I think, there are things to criticize Kellen Moore for, but the one thing that you can't say is he's not creative. He's going to try different things. He's going to borrow ideas from a bunch of different places. And he's a Chris Peterson protege, and Chris Peterson is one of the most creative minds was one of the most creative minds in college football for a long time. So I definitely see him bringing new ideas in this offense that they desperately need.
With all that being said, though, what does it mean for the guy that, let's be realistic. I got to tell you, Ted, in this area, there is still a contingent of Eagle fans who look at Jalen Hurts and have questions. They say, well, he had one really good year, right? So what do you think Kellen Moore does for Jalen Hurts?
I think he's going to revive this option game, which I think is the crux of this offense with Jalen Hurts. He's not going to be this, sit back, drop back passer that's going to destroy you from the pocket. He's very similar to Russell Wilson in some ways, where he depends on a lot of outside throws. So when you're throwing outside, you need to be able to control guys inside the box, and you have to do that with the run game. And I think, he's going to be able to kind of bring some new ideas in this run game and get it going again. And I think that's one of the most important things he has to do first.
When you say manufacture, a lot of fans are kind of curious about what that might mean, because, I was listening to Jordan Mailata talk about on the Green Light podcast about how, Kellen Moore has a lot of hot routes now built into the offense where they didn't have that as much last year. So is part of that having maybe more options built into the pre-snap conversation that allows them to have more options post-snap?
Yeah, I think when you have more hot routes built in, you're not depending on the quarterback. And, you don't have Jason Kelce anymore, who's one of the best centers of all time and one of the best guys at adjusting protections and all that. And when you have more hot routes built in, you don't exactly have to – you're not always changing the protection, trying to get into the perfect play. If there is a blitz, you're trying to find where that blitz is coming from, and you're replacing it with the throw. So it's a little bit more on the quarterback to find those hot routes, and it's going to be a little bit more on Jalen Hurts. But if he's able to study and really figure out this hot route system, then you're less dependent on having to change a protection all the time.
We're talking with Ted Nguyen from The Athletic at FB Film Analysis on the Twitter X platform, joining us here on 97.3 ESPN. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill on a Thursday afternoon. Flipping it over to the defense, Ted. Vic Fangio, he has been a very interesting character so far for us in Eagles camp. He's had a lot of interesting quotes out there talking about how he wants to play the best player, not the highest paid player, and stuff like that. So what does Vic Fangio, from what you've seen on the tape from him, because he's got a lot of film over the years, the Colts, the 49ers, the Houston Texans, the Dolphins last year. This guy's been basically everywhere, Chicago, Denver. So there's like, you could probably just lose an entire month of your life probably just studying Vic Fangio game tapes. So what do you think he brings to this Eagles team?
Well, I think, there's a lot of teams that have tried to copy the Vic Fangio system, especially last year when that kind of system blew up and kind of spread around the league like wildfire. But, like when you have these imitations, they're just not as good as the original. And then now you have Vic Fangio, the guy who's really originated the system. He knows all the adjustments you need to make when things go wrong. He knows how to add different tweaks when he needs to. I think, just getting that guy who created this system and knows it in and out is such a big boost for this offense. And, he had some problems with some of the players with the Dolphins last year, but it's hard to argue with the results. The Dolphins were a much improved defense under Vic Fangio. And I think, and everywhere he's been, he's improved the defense. So I have a lot of faith in him fixing this Eagles defense.
What's interesting also is that, because you mentioned how it didn't go well last year. Well, the Eagles were third to last in most points allowed in the NFL. They were a bad pass defense last year. And even Howie Roseman admitted, he was like, hey, we got to improve the secondary. I had to go out there and invest in the secondary. Does the Eagles personnel, does the talent that the Eagles have, is that good enough in your mind to execute what Vic Fangio wants to do?
Yeah, well, I think it really depends on some rookies. I mean, you're going to have some young guys that are going to have to come in and play some big minutes. You know, they spent the first 2 picks on defensive backs, and they have, you know, good scouting report. I like them on film, but we'll see how they translate on the field. I mean, you know, we saw last year how the Asian corners really affected this defense, and now you have some younger corners, but it's not always going to be the case where you just insert a rookie, and even if he's drafted in the first round and he plays well, especially at a position like corner, and you have to learn a very complicated system in Vic Fangio system. So we'll see. I mean, we'll see how it plays out in the early parts of the season. But anytime you're depending on young players, it's going to be a bit of a gamble.
So Ted, with all that being said, how do you stack the Eagles up against the rest of the NFC? Because let's be realistic. 49ers, they got some drama they're dealing with. Cowboys, not as good as they were last year overall talent-wise. Washington, I mean, they'll be interesting because they got better coaching and better management down there. Lions are still good. Packers are better, right? Rams, they're interesting. So how do the Eagles stack up versus the rest of the NFC for you?
To me, they're still a top 3 team in NFC. I mean, this is just a stacked roster, you know, from top to bottom. They're not as good as they were a couple of years ago, but I mean, like we said, there's going to be some young players that come in and maybe they play really well. But it's just a very stacked roster that, you know, they had a bit of an off year last year. They still were good enough to have a really strong start to the season. And I think with some better coaching, they could return to being one of the top teams. I just think this roster is too loaded to count out as one of the top 3 teams in NFC. And there's a lot of flawed teams in NFC as well.
You know, the NFC East has constantly been like a jousting match between the Eagles and the Cowboys over the years. Every once in a while, Washington or the Giants kind of sneak in there and make it interesting. But it's mostly been those two. I mentioned before, the Cowboys, they lost a lot. They lost 2 starters in the offensive line. They lost guys in their secondary. They changed the coordinators. I mean, how do you even evaluate a team like Dallas, whose best running back is an old version of Ezekiel Elliott? Like, how do you even evaluate a team like Dallas?
It's a difficult team because they draft so well. I mean, when you watch the left tackle they drafted, Tyler Smith, he looks like another guy that they could just insert in and have a long-term starter on the offensive line. But it's just they're so cheap. Like, they don't want to spend guaranteed cash. It doesn't make any sense. You know, CeeDee Lamb is frustrated. He's holding out. You know, you have Dak Prescott, who might be a free agent next year. And they said they're going to be all in, but what have they really added to this team besides Ezekiel Elliott back? You know, so they have all these like blue chip players they drafted, but they're not complementing them with some free agents. They're not spending that cash. So they're going to be good because of the blue chip players they've drafted, but how good they'll be against really good teams is questionable.
The story came out yesterday. The Cowboys are the first NFL team to ever be evaluated at $10 billion. And it's like, you would think they would have the spare cash, right? You would think that if you get evaluated at $10 billion, you might have the money, right? So it's like, it's funny that you're saying that they're cheap, because if Jerry Jones is evaluated at $10 billion, what is he holding on the money for?
I don't know. I mean, to me, they're like McDonald's. You know, they've grown in evaluation. They're cash rich, but they just want to cut costs. They know they're going to make money. They have the brand. You know, the Cowboy fans are going to keep tuning in, but they're just going to cut costs, and I don't know where that money's going.
Who is the NFC team that we are not talking about that you're keeping your eye on this year?
That's a good question. You know, I think, you know, just talking about the NFC East, I feel like the Giants might be a little bit better than people expect. I think I have faith in that coaching staff to get things sorted out. And, I'm pretty excited about Malik Neighbors and what he can do. I don't think Daniel Jones will ever be an elite quarterback, but I trust that staff to be able to scheme up enough offense. And I think there's some interesting players on a defense, but I don't know if they're going to be good. They might be kind of a high variance defense, but I think maybe they could recapture some of that 2022 magic and be an interesting team. I'm out here watching the Cardinals, and they're not going to be there. They have some big offensive line issues, but man, those skill players are a really interesting group. Especially with Marvin Harrison Jr. and I think some of their second year receivers like Michael Wilson are interesting. If they could get some decent blocking, that could be a really fun offense to watch with Kyler Murray coming back.
You mentioned that you got Cardinals Colts camp. I want to ask you about the Colts specifically because that's a team that came within a couple of yards of making the postseason last year with Gardner Minshew, not with Anthony Richardson. Richardson didn't get to play last year. So what is a realistic expectations for a Colts team with a guy who basically couldn't play for a year due to injury?
Yeah, preparing for this camp and preparing to talk to some of these coaches for interviews, I went back and watched Anthony Richardson, this morning and yesterday, and just kind of going a deep dive on his tape. And then, when you watch that Rams game, the stats don't look good, but there were a ton of drop passes, and man, he just makes some high level plays, and he's much more advanced than you think as far as being able to read and pocket manipulation and those things. He does miss some passes on occasion, but I just think he's much further along than people think he is. And watching him in camp, he is he's going to put up some numbers this season, especially in an offense that just fits his skills so well. And that Colts receiving core is a much improved unit. I think Josh Downs is, he's been injured, but just talking to some people in Indianapolis, they're very excited about him. He was having a phenomenal camp. Adonai Mitchell looks like he's going to be an instant contributor. This is a good receiving core, and I think Richardson has a lot surrounding him. So I'm very, very excited. One of the things I look forward to most from this season is watching how this offense develops.
Ted, before I let you go, we are in Eagles country down here in New Jersey, but it's also Giants and Jets country. There's a lot of those fans in the area too. So does Ted Nguyen from The Athletic believe in the Jets this year?
It's a very good roster, but it's a very old roster that could get injured and fall apart pretty quickly. So it all depends on their injury health. If those guys stay healthy, their main players stay relatively healthy, especially Aaron Rodgers, Tyron Smith, this is going to be a very, very good team. But if some of those older players fall off, then it's going to be a repeat of last year.
He's Ted Nguyen. Follow him on Twitter X platform at FB_film analysis. Check out all of his coverage of the NFL in The Athletic. And he joined me right here on 97.3 ESPN. Ted, I appreciate you jumping on. We got the technical issues worked out, and it worked out all good. Appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. Ted joining us here on 97.3 ESPN. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill on the sports page. Heard from him right there. He said, if the Jets stay healthy, if the older players don't drop off. And I feel like that's always the conundrum with sports, is that you're always saying, what if? And when a team has a lot of what ifs, it makes you very hesitant and very wary to believe in them until you see them execute. So very interesting to see the Jets this upcoming season. I personally believe that if all their ducks are in order, if all their ducks are in a row and they're all set up, that's a really good team. That's a really good football team that can make a deep playoff run. But they got to stay healthy, and they got to figure out this Hassan Reddick situation. This is just ridiculous. You purposely trade for a guy knowing he wants a contract, and then you don't get him signed, and it's August and nothing. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. It's one of the strangest stories I can remember in football. A guy gets traded for. He didn't sign as a free agent. No, they traded for him when he wanted a new contract. And in a division where the Patriots got worse last night by trading away Matthew Judon, in a division where the Bills have lost another player, Matt Milano, today, a Dolphins team that will definitely be worse defensively without Christian Wilkins this year. It feels like this is the year for the Jets to do something. Now they all got to do is just stay healthy. It's crazy how that works. It's the most wild what if in all of sports to me is the New York Jets right now. We'll check back on the text board in just a bit at 609-403-0973. Your DMs into the 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill on a Thursday afternoon on 973 ESPN.
We have the Phillies covered.
Browns to Turner at short, who throws across his body to Harper at first, and another 1-2-3 inning for Zach Wheeler.
Get the best Phillies baseball coverage on the Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN.
Hey, it's Mike Gill. I've been telling you about the beautiful MDX I've been driving from Key Acura of Atlantic City. But guess what? The brand new 2025 MDX have just arrived. Between now and August 31st, you can lease a slick 2025 MDX all-wheel drive for just $599 a month with $49.95 down, or lease a 2024 Integra for $299 a month with $49.95 down while they last. Go see Rocco at Key Acura, Tilton Road in EHT, your small but friendly dealer. See dealer for details.
Hi, welcome to Staples.
Yeah, my daughter needs a laptop for college, but I need to watch the budget.
Well, Staples hot deals on tech are backed by a price match guarantee, so our prices won't be beat.
Great. I can't believe my baby's starting college.
She'll do great.
I know.
Oh, let's get you a great deal on a laptop.
Save big on tech for school at Staples. Now get up to $300 off select PCs. NC24 price match guarantee valid within 14 days of purchase. Exclusions apply. For details, visit staples.com/price match.
Getting behind the wheel after drinking could change your world. Bobby here had a great time at the party and thought he was good to drive home. Now, Bobby's facing jail time, an upset wife, disappointed parents, and up to a $10,000 fine. It only takes one bad decision to change your world forever. Getting behind the wheel after you've been drinking is one of them. Drive sober or get pulled over. Learn more at NHTSA.gov. That's NHTSA.gov. This message brought to you by NHTSA.
Shop the Sherwin-Williams 4-day super sale and get 40% off paints and stains from August 16th through the 19th. With prices starting at $29.39, it's the perfect time to transform your space with color. Whether you're looking to revamp your bedroom, living room, or home office, we have you covered with bold hues, soothing neutrals, and everything in between. Shop the sale online or visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies candidates with the right skills, sends you great matches, then you can easily invite them to apply. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. See for yourself. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try ZipRecruiter for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Less is more? No, more is more. That's why Taco Bell's new $7 Luxe Cravings box is stacked with all your cheesy, crunchy favorites. Think a beefy 5-layer burrito, a double-stacked taco, a Chalupa Supreme, chips and nacho cheese sauce, and a drink for just $7. Live Luxe for less at Taco Bell and sign up for rewards to earn free food. At participating Taco Bell stores for a limited time only while supplies last. Price and participation vary. Drinks exclude freezes. Tax extra. Rewards program subject to terms and conditions. Points earned on qualifying purchases.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
Gotta change my oil.
How about Valvoline Restore and Protect? It restores and protects your engine to run like new.
Get in zone.
It restores your engine to like factory clean?
And protects.
Get in zone.
So Valvoline Restore and Protect restores and protects.
Now you can get 5 quarts with an STP extended life oil filter for $37.99.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
It only happens once a year. The summer clearance sale at Matt Blatt Kia. Have a job clearing $450 per week? Matt Blatt Kia wants to approve you today. 0 down, 0 payments for 90 days, and 0%. So if you're currently stuck in a loan or lease, we want to get you released. Then take $7,500 off MSRP or 0% for 48 months and no payments for 90 days on every clearly marked EV in stock. Plus, with our 4-day love it or leave it return policy, you can drive with peace of mind.
It's gotta be a Matt Blatt Kia.
With approved credit, 24 Nero EV and EV6, 2083 per thousand. Not all will qualify. Credit may affect down payment. Offers can't be combined. Go to mattblattkianj.com for complete details or 888-505-6670. Price includes all costs to be paid by consumer, except for licensing, registration, and taxes through KMF. EV6 rebates and incentives to dealer. Expires 9/3/24. Matt Blatt Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township, and on Route 37 in Toms River.
It's the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
Do I have everybody's attention now?
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
There's nothing like a sports fan who hears you talking about their team and they got to get up at 609-403-0973 and tell you what's up. Cole from LBI, the most famous Jets fan in the 97.3 ESPN audience, says, the only thing they hold my Jets back this year are injuries. They only have 2 older dudes, Aaron Rodgers and Tyron Smith. So because he said that, I decided to look it up. So Rodgers is 40. The punter, Thomas Morstead, is 38. The kicker is 36. Your backup quarterback is 35, Tyrod Taylor. Tyron Smith is 33. Morgan Moses is 33. CJ Mosley is 32. So do we just say that the entire special teams is old and everybody else is fine?
This is South Jersey's official home for Philadelphia Eagles football. The Eagles continue the 2024 preseason tonight in New England against the Patriots.
They've got him! It's a sack! It's Brandon Graham!
Listen to all the action with Merrill Reese and Mike Quick with pregame coverage starting at 6 p.m. and kickoff at 7. This is the play-by-play home of the Philadelphia Eagles. 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's Eagles station.
As fall approaches, you have a lot to prepare for. Back to school, sporting events, family gatherings, and staying on top of your health. The virus that causes COVID-19 continues to evolve. So this fall, no matter what you're prepping for, you can prioritize your family's health and make a game plan for COVID-19 vaccination. Ask your doctor or pharmacist to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Some people just know the best rate for you is a rate based on you with Allstate. Not a rate based on Terry who keeps and makes the car behind them. Oh no, they're about to. Save with DriveWise and the Allstate app and only pay a rate based on you.
Not available in every state, subject to terms and conditions. Rating factors and savings vary, and in some states your rate could increase with high-risk driving. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Hi, I'm Cesar Milan. People are always commenting on how healthy my dogs are. One of the reasons is the food my dogs eat.
Dr. Marty's Nature's Blend is a premium freeze-dried raw dog food designed to support your dog's health, happiness, and lifespan. Save up to 54% off Nature's Blend and get a free bag of cod Krispies. Go to drmartypets.com/deal or text DEAL to 511-511.
Your order is back with a 90-day guarantee.
All dogs are unique. Your dog results can and will vary. Message and data rates may apply.
I want to learn how to cook, but I keep ordering takeout.
Accomplishing goals is hard, but when your goal is to learn a new language, Babbel makes it easy. In just 15 minutes a day, Babbel will help you start having conversations in as little as 3 weeks. Words and phrases you'll actually use. So when someone asks, "How's your French going?" you can say,
Babbel facilite grandement l'apprentissage d'une nouvelle langue.
Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Timmy, everybody. Great job. Next up for our 5th grade class recital, we have Samantha.
10 times better performance can make a big difference. Castrol Edge Motor Oil gives your engine 10 times better high-stress performance. Castrol Edge, better oil for maximum performance. Now through December 28th, Castrol Edge and Edge High Mileage Motor Oil are on rollback at Walmart.
Claim based on sequence 9 test under high-low conditions versus API SP test limits.
Tired of hearing scary radio ads about the IRS? Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000 or $500,000, we have a solution. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS with zero risk to you. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with a BBB. End your tax nightmare today by visiting TRA.com or call 800-275-3490. That's 800-275-3490.
Must qualify for enrollment. Results may vary.
It's the summer closeout sale going on now at Matt Platt Nissan. New Matt Platt Nissan Rogue S under 30 grand, just $29,999 with zero down and just 2.9% for 60 months. Plus, if you're stuck in a loan or lease, AJ the Trade Man can get you released. So bring it to Matt Platt Nissan.
Oh yeah, it's on at Matt Platt Nissan.
New 2024 Nissan Rogue S, just $29,999 with zero down and 2.9% financing for 60 months. But when they're gone, they're gone. And every new Matt Platt Nissan comes with our 4-day love it or leave it return policy. Have a job clearing $450 per week at Matt Platt today. .com. Unapproved Tier 1 credit through NEMAC. Negative equity will be refinanced into new vehicle plus tax tag and $589 fee. Offers can't be combined. Call 877-289-6670 or go to mattplattnissan.com for complete details. VIN RC 738396 MSRP 31115. Offer ends 9/4/24. It's on at Matt Platt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township.
Home of the Sports Bash with Mike Gill, 97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City. This is the Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. Now live from inside the Ocean Casino Resort Studio, here's
3 o'clock hour of the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill. He's back in action tonight. Phillies finally get a win last night. And our conversation this hour being brought to you by Broadleys Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning. Broadleys is your trusted source for air conditioning and heating service and maintenance, as well as plumbing installation for generations. Call them at 609-390-3907 or visit them online at broadleys.net. Coming up this hour, someone agrees with my perspective on Rob Thompson. And you guys listening to the sound of my voice on 97.3 ESPN can tell me if this person agreeing with me is legit or if some of you still hate Rob Thompson. We'll also get back to the text board at 609-403-0973. I will get back to Cole from LBI as well, because Cole, I am genuinely looking forward to this season, in part because of Cole from LBI's text about the Jets. Because I feel like I'm one of the few people on planet Earth who doesn't think the Bills are going to be good this year, who doesn't think the Dolphins are going to dominate the AFC East. I have said it multiple times here on 97.3 ESPN. I think the Jets should be the favorite to win the AFC East. So I am going to love every week, all 18 weeks of the football season, having Cole from LBI texting in about his New York Jets. It is going to be way more fun than having to console some of you Giant fans when your team can't score more than 10 to 14 points in a game. You guys are going to be almost borderline inconsolable, some of you Giant fans. But Cole from LBI, the Jets fan, he is going to be fun to see him blasting the text board at 609-403-0973, going nuts, telling us about Rodgers and Wilson and Sauce Gardner and telling us about how Tyron Smith was a smart signing by the Jets. It's going to be a fun offseason. Sorry, a fun regular season, I should say. But we'll get to more football a little bit later because we got to get to some more Phillies conversation. Matt from KMA Courthouse has a comment I want to get to at 609-403-0973. But first, the Phillies lineup is out, and it's being brought to you by Clark's moving and storage of Rio Grande. Moving is a breeze with Clark's Moving and Storage. We are back to the regular lineup. And I like this lineup way better than yesterday's. Take that for what it's worth. But Schwarber, Turner's back in the lineup after a day off. Harper, Bohm, Castellanos goes to the 5 spot. I like Castellanos in the 5 spot. Real Muto, Stott is interestingly in the lineup tonight. Rojas is in center batting 9th, but batting 8th in left field. Weston Wilson. So this goes back to the comment that we heard Matt Gill from The Athletic talk to us about yesterday here on the Sports Bash. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN. Matt Gill was telling us yesterday that his belief was that they were going to bench Brandon Marsh today, and they were going to give Trey Turner a day off yesterday, and then just swap guy in, swap one guy out. And I always thought that was a very interesting point by him because I never really thought of it like that. And now we're seeing it's exactly what happened today. So first of all, that's why the experts come on 97.3 ESPN, whether it's Mike Gill, whether it's myself, all of us. We are we are always trying to bring you guests who are going to educate you. Like I love when Mike Gill has his conversations with Dave Gallagher, the former Major League Baseball player, because these guys give you so many insights. And Gill mapped it out for you that the Nationals have 3 straight days of a left-handed pitcher on the mound. And so you knew going into this game, at least for tonight, that somebody wasn't playing. I'm curious why Bryson Stott is in the lineup and he doesn't join Brendan Marsh. And I'm getting the sense that it might be because of what Thompson said a couple days ago. Rob Thompson said that Bryson Stott was finally making good contact again. And so is it maybe one of those deals where they say, look, we'll let Bryson play this first game because he had a good day at the plate yesterday. And if he doesn't play well, we'll just sit him for the next 2 days against Patrick Corbin and Mackenzie Gore. You know, they're going against a pitcher tonight, the rookie Mitchell Parker. He has never faced the Phillies before. Never. So this is going to be a brand new pitcher. So it's almost a clean slate for a lot of these guys. But they decided, Brandon Marsh, you having some hits yesterday was not good enough. So we're going to put you on the bench. We're going to give you a day off because like we gave Trey Turner a day off the day before. Bryson Stott, here's your chance. Here's your opportunity to go and show us that you can handle a left-handed pitcher. If you can't, well, you'll sit the next 2 days. That's what it feels like the Phillies are saying here. And by the way, it's about time Weston Wilson got a start. I mean, that dude Cal Stevenson was getting playing time before Weston Wilson was. You know, Weston Wilson may not be the best player in baseball, but you know what? He has been a productive player for this Phillies organization. It's not like he's been just a complete waste of a roster spot like Christian Pache or an incredible disappointment like Whit Merrifield. You look at Weston Wilson's numbers, the guy has 2 home runs this year. He has already doubled his production off of last year's call up to the major leagues. And I'm not saying I want Weston Wilson to line up every day, but you're telling me that it's just no big deal that Weston Wilson has 2 homers and 6 RBI and is batting with a 480, 490 slug percentage. Like, I mean, I have to look up exactly how many of those home runs came against lefties versus righties. So maybe that's part of the theory, but there's no way that I got to keep this guy on the bench all the time. Let's see here. Where are his splits? Okay, so it is true that his 2 home runs are against left-handed pitching. And he is batting significantly better against lefties and righties. But you go through the entire Phillies stretch of games. I mean, when was the last time he played a game? I got to look it up. I can't remember the last time he started a game before today. Let's see here. Let's go through the good old baseball reference. Seattle. That's what I thought, because he didn't play against Clayton Kershaw of the Dodgers. He didn't play in the Diamondback series. He played 1 game in the Diamondback series. Okay, that's what I thought. But he didn't play in the Dodgers series. See, that's ridiculous to me. If you have a guy who's that good against left-handed pitching, why doesn't he play against Clayton Kershaw? And he played 1 game in the Diamondback series. And in that game, he went 2 for 4. I'm just saying, I want more Weston Wilson opportunities. I hope Weston Wilson starts the next 3 days. It's like Michael Keaton in the movie The Batman. You want to get nuts? Come on, let's get nuts. That's what I want. I want Weston Wilson to start the entire week against left-handed pitching. Matt from K-Main Courthouse chimed in earlier at 609-403-0973. Says, you know what I liked about last night's game is the Phillies manufactured runs to keep the game close before Schwarber's grand slam gave them the lead. The Phillies tacked on some more runs for insurance afterward as well. It definitely seemed like they were a boom or bust offensively for weeks there. Matt from K-Main Courthouse goes on to say, if they are able to score in almost every inning like they did last night, they can steal some bases and they can hustle. They can prove that they don't need 1 or 2 large innings every night. That's from Matt and K-Main Courthouse. Matt's absolutely right. Because if you're the team that is constantly depending on the big homer, if you're the team that is constantly depending on that 4 or 5 run inning in order for you to win games, you're probably going to lose more than you want to lose. And I think that's really where the conversation is with the Phillies. Matt from Kevin Courthouse, right? They stayed in the game before the Schwarber home run. Again, more positive signs. Matt and K-Main Courthouse gets it. Now, maybe he also gets it because he was not part of the contingent of people texting in at 609-403-0973 complaining about Rob Thompson. So when I heard these comments late last night, I was listening to a podcast. It's the Fresh 22 with Mark Zumoff. For those of you who don't know, Mark Zumoff has his own podcast where he interviews different people from around the world of sports. And on my way home driving last night, I saw that he had Tom McCarthy on there. And I thought, oh, this should be an interesting conversation. So I'm listening. And then at probably like almost the halfway point of the pod, the topic comes up of Rob Thompson. And I got to tell you guys, I didn't think there was anybody else who was seeing what I was seeing about Rob Thompson. And then I heard Tom McCarthy talk. And I want you to hear how Mark Zumoff asks Tom McCarthy about Rob Thompson. And Rob Thompson makes a direct connection to another Phillies manager that I have also made. This is Tom McCarthy on the Fresh 24 podcast with Mark Zumoff talking about how Rob Thompson is similar to another former Phillies manager.
Well, I think the thing that they have in common is that their people skills are unbelievable. I mean, and it's a different way of doing it. You know, Charlie has the good old boy feeling, you know, the West Virginia kind of, attitude. And he just makes you feel like you're part of everything when you walk into the room. And Rob is really that way. I mean, they are players, managers, but they also have their thumb on the scale. Like they know when they have to buckle it up a little bit in the clubhouse. I just think their people skills are just incredible.
I have made this connection before, the Charlie Manuel. Talking about how Charlie and Rob Thompson, they're both more laid-back managers. They're both players managers. And you heard Tom McCarthy talk about how they both have excellent people skills, how they both are great. They're both great at knowing about the pulse of the locker room and understanding the players and, not needing to go crazy and yelling at people all the time. And I think it's a very accurate analogy, not because it's true, but because people thought Charlie Manuel was a bad manager until he won a World Series. There were people who didn't even want to give him a chance. I remember this years ago. And I feel like it's the same people who are crying about Rob Thompson now. And Tom McCarthy brings up that point where he says that the Phillies organization is very fortunate that they have had managers like Charlie Manuel and Rob Thompson in the organization.
We were very fortunate to have Charlie, obviously. And I'm glad everybody gave him a chance because there was a point where I didn't think they were going to give him a chance. And we are beyond fortunate, particularly after the Gabe Kapler years, to have Rob, because we needed Joe Girardi, I think, as an organization. And I thought he did a really good job of getting us back to the baseball part of it. When Joe's time was done, Rob was right there.
It's a very fascinating point. A couple of points there by Tom McCarthy. One, he said, I wasn't sure, he said, that people were ever going to give Charlie Manuel a chance. And my answer to Tom McCarthy would be, well, he won a World Series, so they kind of had to at that point. It's like Doug Peterson. People made fun of how Doug talked, how he had trouble finishing sentences. Then he won a Super Bowl. It's like Doug has a Super Bowl championship. And it's like, oh, Doug's great. We love Doug now. And I feel it's the same thing with Rob Thompson. If Rob Thompson and Nick Sirianni both go out and win championships during this upcoming seasons, nobody will ever have a bad thing to say about those guys the rest of their careers. Because it's the ultimate shut up move. It's the ultimate back up move when you win a championship. The other part, what he said is, we forget about the bad times. We have all had recency bias, and we forget about how good we have it today versus another day. He says, Tom McCarthy said, after Gabe Kapler, we needed Joe Girardi to get us back to baseball. And then we needed Rob Thompson to step in and be the man. And it just goes to show you that we forget Phillies history. All of us. When we sit here and talk about or complain about Rob Thompson, how many of you remember Gabe Kapler? Because I do. I have worked here at 97.3 ESPN since the fall of 2015. So I distinctly remember being here. It was the last year of Ryan Sandberg. He got fired. And then Pete Mackinnon became the manager. And the Phillies just were not a good baseball team. So it was hard to get excited about the job that Pete was doing with a baseball team that just wasn't very good. And Sandberg was a complete failure as a manager. And then came Tan Gabe Kapler, Mr. Sun Tan Oil, Mr. I only eat certain foods. And you heard the little dig that Tom McCarthy gave. He was like, after Gabe Kapler, we had to get back to baseball. And I remember being here on 97.3 ESPN almost every single day. People hated Gabe Kapler. They despised the guy. They ripped the guy. He's not a real baseball guy, right? So it was like a breath of fresh air when they hired Joe Girardi. But then Girardi wasn't the answer either. Since becoming the Philadelphia Phillies manager, Rob Thompson, over the last 2.5 years, he has won 225 games. If you go through Phillies history in terms of managers, he looks pretty good, honestly. Like, big picture. And McCarthy's right. We forget where we were and where we are now because, oh boy, there's a difference, folks. There's a huge difference. Folks, did you know that there is only one, and I mean one, Philadelphia Phillies manager who has at least 2 managerial seasons under his belt with a better winning percentage as a manager than Rob Thompson? Arthur Irwin from 1894 to 1895. Rob Thompson has a better winning percentage than Dallas Green. He has a better winning percentage than Charlie Manuel. He has a better winning percentage than Danny Ozark, than the beloved Larry Boa. Yeah, he's better than him too. And may I remind you, Gabe Kapler had a .497 win percentage. Just saying. Tom McCarthy wraps up his perspective on Rob Thompson and explains why Rob Thompson is a good fit to be the Phillies manager.
I don't know how he didn't get a chance before this. I really don't, because Zoo, he is everything you want as a major league manager. Not only for us as the broadcasters and the members of the media, but just from a player standpoint. He and Charlie both have, in different ways, the ability to make everybody feel like they're part of the whole organization. And I think that that's not lost on this clubhouse right now.
At the end there, he mentions the clubhouse. And this is the question I've always asked about someone like Nick Sirianni, someone like John Tortorella, and now Nick Nurse for the Sixers, right? If the players like the coach and they play for the coach and they show up for the coach or manager, who are we to say the guy stinks? Who are we to say the guy is bad at his job? Now, I told you guys yesterday here on 97.3 ESPN, Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill on a Thursday. I said it to you guys yesterday that, look, if Rob Thompson doesn't get back to the NLCS this year, and you want to have a conversation about getting rid of him, then we can have that conversation then. But there's this idea that Rob Thompson was the reason they lost some of those games since the All-Star break. Or Rob Thompson has made so many bad decisions that it's his fault. And I love the fact that Tom McCarthy made that connection between Rob and Charlie, because I have said the same thing multiple times, that being the rah-rah manager, being the screaming and yelling guy, it's not a key to success. It is not a prerequisite to success. It is one of the many tools people use, screaming and yelling, being passionate, to be a leader of an organization. And I love how McCarthy explained it. He's like, Listen, I'm glad people gave Charlie Manuel a chance because I was wondering for a while if they would. He's right. Because you go back to when Charlie Manuel first started managing here, people had a lot of negative stuff to say about him. Oh, he's only here because of Jim Thome. People would say stuff like, Charlie Manuel's too laid back. He's not passionate enough. Charlie doesn't care enough. He's just a good old baseball boy. People had a lot of negative things that I can't even say on the radio about Charlie Manuel. But yet Charlie Manuel never finished lower than second place in the National League until his 11th season as a Major League manager. Think about that. From 2005 to 2011, the Philadelphia Phillies never finished lower than second in the division. And you could argue that it was the mismanagement of the front office, Ruben Amaro, looking at you, for why the Phillies, Charlie's last couple of years as manager, fell off. It wasn't Charlie's fault. And like Charlie Manuel, you heard Tom McCarthy say, this guy has their finger on the pulse of the locker room. They understand the players. They have people skills. He talked about how these are baseball guys and about how Gabe Kapler, they had to get it back to baseball, he said. You know, Tom McCarthy talked about how Rob Thompson is a guy who makes everyone feel like they are a part of the organization, and the players in the locker room appreciate him. And I'm just saying, if the players like Rob Thompson, then why are we so quick to hate on somebody just because he doesn't fit the mold of what you want? I've always said, I don't understand the fans who want these guys to scream and yell. I mean, I don't really remember Joe Torre screaming and yelling a lot. And those Yankee teams won a lot of World Series in the late 90s, heading into the 2000s. Charlie Manuel got to the World Series 2 straight years, and I have double checked, but I don't even know how many times Charlie ever got thrown out of a game. I had to not be that many times. Let's see here. I'm going to pull up the Phillies all-time list on ejections. Because I feel like Charlie Manuel, like, I would guess if I did the math, he might have gotten thrown out of a game maybe 3 times a year. Maybe 4. I mean, there were times that Charlie definitely knew when to go out there. And maybe that's where Charlie's better than Rob Thompson. I think Charlie had a great understanding of knowing, hey, my guys need me to stand up for them. I'm going to go out there, get thrown out of this game to make sure my boys know that I got their back. Let's see here. So Charlie Manuel got thrown out of 41 games as a major league manager. 41 divided by 9. So he averaged about 4 ejections a year. So I said 3 or 4. Compare that to, let's say, Larry Boa. So Larry Boa got ejected 23 times with the Phillies. So Larry Boa averaged 6 ejections a year. Charlie Manuel averaged 4 a year. And Rob Thompson averages just over 1 a year. So while Charlie Manuel and Rob Thompson are getting to the World Series, Larry Boa couldn't as the Phillies manager. I'm just saying, maybe that style is just not the most productive. I mean, you look at, I'm looking at this list right now. Where's Dallas? Dallas Green was ejected 5 times as Phillies manager in 3 seasons. The guy before him, Danny Ozark, was thrown out 20 times in 7 years. That's a huge difference, man. We'll talk more about this coming up on the other side. 609-403-0973. DMs into 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. Matt from Sicklerville, Jeff from Ocean City. Your text and more coming up next. Your guys' thoughts. Rob Thompson. Is it fair to say that he is like Charlie Manuel? Is it fair to say by Tom McCarthy that there are similarities between the two, do you give any weight or value to Tom McCarthy's comments about Rob Thompson? 609-403-0973. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill on a Thursday edition of the Sports Bash.
You're listening to the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
And if you're not down with that, we got 2 words for you.
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
It's the summer closeout sale going on now at Matt Platt Nissan. New Matt Platt Nissan Rogue S under 30 grand, just $29,999 with 0 down and just 2.9% for 60 months. Plus, if you're stuck in a loan or lease, AJ the Trade Man can get you released. So bring it to Matt Platt Nissan.
Oh yeah, it's on at Matt Platt Nissan.
New 2024 Nissan Rogue S, just $29,999 with 0 down and 2.9% financing for 60 months. But when they're gone, they're gone. And every new Matt Platt Nissan comes with our 4-day love it or leave it return policy. Have a job clearing $450 per week at Matt Platt Nissan. You're virtually approved today. MattPlattNissan.com. Unapproved Tier 1 credit through NEMAC. Negative equity will be refinanced into new vehicle plus tax tag and $589 fee. Offers can't be combined. Call 877-289-6670 or go to MattPlattNissan.com for complete details. VIN RC 738396 MSRP 31115. Offer ends 9/4/24. It's on at Matt Platt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance engineer, he hears things differently. To the untrained ear, everything on his shop floor might sound fine, but he can hear gears grinding or a belt slipping. So he steps in to fix the problem at hand before it gets out of hand. And he knows Grainger's got the right product he needs to get the job done, which is music to his ears. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Some people just know the best rate for you is a rate based on you with Allstate. And look at you, hands perfectly placed on the wheel. Not like the driver to the right of you who's really going after that drum solo. Save with DriveWise and the Allstate app and only pay a rate based on you.
Not available in every state, subject to terms and conditions. Rating factors and savings vary, and in some states your rate could increase with high-risk driving. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Dennis Malloy here for the Lauder, New Jersey. Feeling lucky? Well, it just got even easier to order lottery tickets online. The Lauder, New Jersey is here and raring to go with daily pick draws, local favorites like Jersey Cash 5, and multi-state record breakers like Powerball and Mega Millions. Try out the Lauder, New Jersey from home or on the go today and get 100% cash back on your first entry. 100% cash back. Just visit nj.thelauder.us. Must be 18 or older to buy a lottery ticket. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Shop the Sherwin-Williams 4-Day Super Sale and get 40% off paints and stains from August 16th through the 19th. With prices starting at $29.39, it's the perfect time to transform your space with color. Whether you're looking to revamp your bedroom, living room, or home office, we have you covered with bold hues, soothing neutrals, and everything in between. Shop the sale online or visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
As fall approaches, you have a lot to prepare for. Back to school, sporting events, family gatherings, and staying on top of your health. The virus that causes COVID-19 continues to evolve. So this fall, no matter what you're prepping for, you can prioritize your family's health and make a game plan for COVID-19 vaccination. Ask your doctor or pharmacist to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Powered by NJM. No jingles or mascots, just great insurance. This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
The Phillies win after a lineup shakeup. I'm Nick Earnshaw with your South Jersey Sports Center and with your 97.3 ESPN question of the day. The Phillies got back on track last night and won a game after losing 4 straight in a row. With that being said, our 97.3 ESPN question of the day is, if you had the Phillies lineup card, would you shake up the lineup once again? Let us know by texting 609-403-0973 or use the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. Last night, they didn't have Trey Turner, but they did utilize Nick Castellanos in the 2-hole in the lineup. I know Kyle Schwarber hit the grand slam. Yes, that was great, but the offense was rolling last night. It needs to happen again. I would continue to try different lineups out here as the Phillies go along into September. Let us know what you think by texting 609-403-0973. Your forecast is next.
Freedom on the open road. Sharp reflexes and smart decision-making is all that separates your body from the road. Even just one drink can affect your ability to ride. Alcohol limits your reaction time and decreases inhibitions, which is the perfect recipe for a DUI. So why would you ever risk riding while impaired? Ride sober or get pulled over. If you hit the bottle, don't roll the throttle. This message brought to you by NHTSA.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow. Tomorrow will probably be the warmest day of the week, and then the weekend turns unsettled with 2 or 3 potential rounds of rain. A few clouds tonight, low of 66. Tomorrow, increasing clouds, high of 88. Saturday turns mostly cloudy and unsettled. Hit or miss showers during the day. Batch of heavier rain looking likely for Saturday night. More showers and thunderstorms rolling in on Sunday. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today.
97.3 ESPN has teamed up with Seize the Deal for incredible weekly offers from some fantastic local restaurants. Here's this week's big deal.
Get a $50 gift card, good for use, at Sassy Cafe and Suites in Mullica Township for just $25.
Get this great deal starting Friday at 9 a.m. at seizethedeal.com. Hurry, chances are this deal will sell quickly. For more info on this great deal, use seizethedeal.com.
It's the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
And I am the voice of the voiceless.
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
Well, I think the thing that they have in common is that their people skills are unbelievable. I mean, and it's a different way of doing it. You know, Charlie has the good old boy feeling, you know, the West Virginia kind of, attitude. And he just makes you feel like you're part of everything when you walk into the room. And Rob is really that way. I mean, they are players, managers, but they also have their thumb on the scale. Like they know when they have to buckle it up a little bit in the clubhouse. I just think their people skills are just incredible.
Mike Gill's not back from Virginia with his baseball team yet. I heard West Virginia, and I thought of John Denver. And then I thought of Mike Gill. Probably the order I go in. But do you guys agree with Tom McCarthy's assessment? He was on the Fresh 24 with Mark Dumoff podcast where he made that connection between Rob Thompson and Charlie Manuel. A fair connection to me. Let's check on the text board now at 609-403-0973. Your DMs into the 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. Pat chimes in on the text board and says, Charlie Manuel and Rob Thompson are similar in that they are both humble guys who are not operating with their ego first. That's a good assessment. And I think that the part of the reason why people like Charlie and Rob are good people, like they have good people skills, is because they are humble, because they don't operate with ego first. In my experience of working, whether it has been, in radio now for, 18 years now, I've worked in radio, whether it was the newspaper business when I was younger, whether it was as a certified personal trainer, whether it was a event DJ, when I did that for a few years. I know some of you have run into me in a previous life when I was working wedding receptions and events and parties. But whatever job I've ever had, when I was a lifeguard at the water park in Ocean City, it's very true what Pat just said. When people operate without ego, when they are humble individuals, they may come off as very laid back, and they may come off as, I'm riding the wave, I'm rolling with the punches. They have less of an assertive personality. They're less aggressive in some of their attitudes. It doesn't mean they're any less passionate. It doesn't mean they're any less concerned. It doesn't mean they're any less interested in success. It just means their approach to it is different. And when you have the ability to remove your ego, be humble, and have that kind of attitude, it allows you to be a better people person. Good point there by Pat on the text board. 609-403-0973. Matt in Sicklerville chimes in and says, Rob Thompson can't hit, field, or throw strikes. It's up to the players. That bonehead base running play by Castellanos after the grand slam was a buzzkill last night. And Bohm's fielding has got to get better. When struggling, the Phillies need to do the small things to work. I still believe in this team, but it's not all Rob Thompson's fault. That's from Matt in Sicklerville. First of all, Matt Sicklerville, congratulations. You won tickets to go see Andrew Scholes in concert next Saturday. So good for you, man. Appreciate you chiming in the next day. You know, Matt, it's a good point. I have always said that people love to blame the coach or the manager for things they're not in their control. When I complain about a coach or a manager, it's about something very specific. Like a very specific move, a very specific substitution they made, or things like that. I don't like to criticize these guys for the big picture. This guy's stupid. This guy's dumb. Because the majority of these guys who get the opportunity to coach at the Major League Baseball level, the National Football League, the National Hockey League, the National Basketball Association, the majority of these guys, they're pretty smart. And they have invested a huge amount of their lives into being at the level they are at. And frankly, outside of a couple coaches, the majority of coaches and managers only win games when they have talent. So Matt in Sicklerville is right. Robbie Thompson can't hit, can't field, and doesn't throw strikes. All he can do is try to put his players in a position to do that. And as Matt in Sicklerville pointed out, it's not Rob Thompson's fault that Castellanos had that dumb base running play. It's not Rob Thompson's fault if Alec Bohm makes a mistake in the field. Matt in Sicklerville is 100% correct. We got to start blaming the players more than the managers. Because at some point, we got to remember, we're not paying Bryce Harper $300 million for him to pop the ball up. We're paying him $300 million to hit dingers and drive in runs. Right? We're paying Rob Thompson to keep... We're paying Rob Thompson not to drive the boat into the iceberg. That's what we're paying Rob Thompson for. We're not paying Rob Thompson to play the music on the cruise ship. We're not paying Rob Thompson to clean the decks. We're not paying Rob Thompson to turn the lights on every day, keep the electricity going. We're paying Rob Thompson to stand in the bow of the ship in front of that steering wheel and say, hey, there's an iceberg ahead. Let's get away from that. And then tell everybody why it might take an extra 30 minutes to get to your destination because you didn't want to run into an iceberg. Jeff from Ocean City chimes in at 609-403-0973. If the Phillies don't get the number 1 seed, it will be a disappointing season. See, I disagree with Jeff in Ocean City on this one point. The disappointment isn't if they're the number 1 seed. The disappointment is if they don't go to the World Series. Let me pull up the National League standings for a hot minute here. Okay, so the Phillies are 70-50. They are the only team aside from the Dodgers in the National League that has 70 wins. Dodgers are currently actually 71, so they are a half game ahead of the Phillies right now. Well, you could be one of the top 2 teams and get a bye in the wild card round. So what would the postseason look like right now? Let me see this. So if the playoffs started today, The Phillies would be the number 2 seed. They would have the bye. And then the wild card in the National League right now is the Diamondbacks, the Padres, and the Braves. So the Brewers would play the Braves, and the Diamondbacks and Padres would play each other. So then the 1 seed gets the lowest team remaining. So I'm just throwing out a scenario, just have conversation here. If the Brewers play the Braves, but the Braves beat the Brewers, as of right now, the Dodgers would play the Braves in the first round. And if the Padres beat the Diamondbacks in the first round, the wild card round, you would play the Padres. So in that scenario, Jeff from Ocean City, you would literally be better off being the number 2 seed. I'm certainly not interested in seeing Chris Sale in the divisional round the way he's pitching right now. Let me look something up real quick. I'm having a curiosity moment. Because I know the Phillies have smashed the Padres this year, but they've lost to the Diamondbacks this year. Had the Padres played well against the Diamondbacks this year, because those two teams play each other, that would be an interesting conversation. Let's see here really quick. Let me just pull it up. All right, San Diego Padres. Where are your splits? Here they are. They are 5-5 against the Diamondbacks this year. So they don't have a losing record against them. They must play them again this year. That's why. Let me see here. Padres upcoming schedule. They have 3 more games against the Diamondbacks. That's what I thought. Well, what if the Padres are a team that can beat the Diamondbacks and you can't beat the Diamondbacks? Maybe in that case, you want someone else to play the Diamondbacks. What if the Diamondbacks play the Braves? The Braves take them out for you. So again, Jeff, I don't think being the number 1 seed is as important as doing whatever it takes to get to the World Series. And if there's a scenario where the Philadelphia Phillies have to be the 2 seed, but it guarantees you a trip to the World Series, I'm not disappointed, Jeff, in Ocean City. Not at all. More texts coming in. 609-403-0973. Also still to come, football at 4. Andrew DiCecco will join us for today's football at 4. He was at joint practices on Tuesday. We'll get his perspective on what he is looking for in tonight's Eagles Patriots preseason game. Coverage begins at 6 p.m. here on 97.3 ESPN with Merrill Reese, the Hall of Famer, along with Mike Quick, calling all the action here on your home for Eagles football in South Jersey. 97.3 ESPN.
We have the Phillies covered.
Swing and a drive, right field, way back, forget it, out of here. Kyle Schwarber hammers one over the right field wall.
Get the best Phillies baseball coverage on the Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN.
With Progressive Snapshot, you could save on auto insurance rates by driving safely, which is great because you're rarely rewarded for just being you. Ever get rewarded for being left-handed? No. You get to use weird scissors. Your reward for being a Capricorn? Cold birthdays that conflict with the holidays. And your reward for quickly responding to every work email? More emails. But with Snapshot, even left-handed Capricorns with proper email etiquette could get rewarded for good driving. So download the Progressive app today. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Snapshot not available in all states or from all agents.
Point! Hey, you okay? You don't normally miss those shots.
I just haven't been as regular lately, and it's making me feel sluggish.
You should try Metamucil. It's been a game changer for me. Metamucil's plant-based psyllium fiber helps trap and remove the waste that weighs you down. Ace, you're moving better than you were last week.
Definitely.
Metamucil keeps you moving. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Learn more at Metamucil.com.
You know, it only takes one bad decision to change your life, and riding after drinking can be one of those. It can lead to impaired reflexes, poor judgment, and then disaster. Think about it. Even one drink affects your ability to ride. Alcohol can limit your reaction time and give you a false sense of confidence. You think it'll never happen to you, but it can. So, if you hit the bottle, don't roll the throttle. Brought to you by NHTSA.
I want to learn how to cook, but I keep ordering takeout.
Accomplishing goals is hard, but when your goal is to learn a new language, Babbel makes it easy. In just 15 minutes a day, Babbel will help you start having conversations in as little as 3 weeks. Words and phrases you'll actually use. So when someone asks, "How's your French going?" you can say,
Babbel facilite grandement l'apprentissage d'une nouvelle langue.
Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Hi, I'm Cesar Milan. People are always commenting on how happy and healthy my dogs are. One of the reasons is the food my dogs eat.
Introducing Dr. Marty's Nature's Blend, a premium freeze-dried raw dog food.
I have been feeding them Dr. Marty's freeze-dried raw formula for years. And this food is a big part of why their jaws are more flexible, their teeth are cleaner, and their coats shinier, and why they seem more youthful and playful.
And dog parents across the U.S. are loving it.
My dog Hazel is a 10-and-a-half-year-old golden retriever. And ever since I've been feeding her Dr. Marty's Nature's Blend food, she is like a puppy again. It's unbelievable.
We're so confident your dog will love it. Your order is backed with a 90-day guarantee. And for a limited time, save up to 54% off Nature's Blend and get a free bag of Cod Krispies. They're wild caught, ultra crunchy cod skin treats. Go to drmartypets.com/deal or text DEAL to 511-511. Text DEAL to 511-511 today. All dogs are unique. Your dog results can and will vary. Message and data rates may apply.
Some people just know the best rate for you is a rate based on you with Allstate. Not a rate based on Terry who keeps and makes the car behind them. Oh no, they're about to. Save with DriveWise and the Allstate app and only pay a rate based on you.
Not available in every state, subject to terms and conditions. Savings vary, and in some states your rate.
Yellow toe fungus, you got to hear about the secret 2-minute trick that I found for my husband. It works from both the inside and the outside. Thousands of people are using it to get rid of their toe fungus. You can check it out at crystalflush.com. Jake started off with a small spot on his big toe, and then it spread and got really bad. His toes were nasty. It was so embarrassing. He was afraid to take his socks off. He hid his yellow and crumbly toes from everyone. He tried everything to get rid of it. Nothing helped. And then we found crystalflush.com. It was the only thing that worked. In just a few weeks, his toes looked amazing. He's now walking around barefoot again. You guys need to try this. I'm telling you, this stuff is different. It's not sold in stores, but go check it out at crystalflush.com. They'll even let you try it risk-free so you have nothing to lose. But whatever you do, don't let it get worse. You don't have to live with this anymore. Go check it out now. Just click over to crystalflush.com.
Go for the endless ocean views and the non-stop entertainment. Go for the lucky whirls and the late night twirls. Go for the gourmet eats and the next level sweets. Go to celebrate. Go to rejuvenate. Go for an escape that's anything but ordinary. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
You're listening to The Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Finish the 3 o'clock hour here on the Sports Bash. More football talk. Andrew DiCecco on Football at 4, powered by the Inside Bird podcast. And Chris Frank from NJ Advanced Media, also to come here on 97.3 ESPN, 3 o'clock hour of the Sports Bash. Being brought to you by Broadley's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning. Broadley's your source for air conditioning and heating service installation, along with plumbing maintenance for generations. Call them at 609-390-3907 and visit them online at broadleys.net. Couple texts I want to get in before we wrap up the hour. Anonymous texter chimed in at 609-403-0973. We should give them credit, but it's a good text. Want to give you credit, texter, but alas, he says, or she, whoever it is, says baseball is a cerebral sport. Yelling doesn't work. It's not like football, basketball, soccer, etc. I will say you are right, and I want to kind of like expand on it a moment here. I don't think it's that yelling works in football and basketball or soccer, but I think it's knowing when to yell and knowing what is being said with the elevation of one's voice. it's like the story that Travis Kelce told on the New Heights Show podcast, where he said, in the Super Bowl, when he got in Andy Reid's face, in the moment, he was not thinking, he said. And later, he saw Andy Reid coming up to him. He's like, oh, no, this guy is going to rip into me like nothing. Because he has said there have been times that Andy Reid has been very aggressive with him and yelled at him and, laid into him. But in that moment, in the biggest game of the year, Andy walked up to Travis and said, just checked on him. It's like, you okay, Travis? You good now? He said, Travis, a lot of eyes are on you because this is the Super Bowl and who you're dating. He says, just try to be aware of that the next time that you're upset. And Andy walked away. And Travis said that it was exactly what he needed to hear in that moment, in that game. And so to me, it's not that yelling works in football and basketball and soccer. It's the coach having the awareness to say, this is when I should yell and this is when I shouldn't yell. And also what you're saying, when you can be not yelling at somebody and say some very hurtful, mean things that are unnecessary. Whereas you can yell at somebody and somebody just be like, yep, got it, let's go. So I think it's as much about, it's cerebral to the other sports where it's what you say as much as how you say it. Andrew DiCecco joining us next on 97.3 ESPN.
Hey, South Jersey, this is Billy Schwein. Tune into The Locker Room every Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. to noon on 97.3 ESPN. Each weekend in The Locker Room, you will get passionate sports talk from a fan's perspective, along with interviews with some of the biggest names in sports. That's every Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. to noon in The Locker Room with me, Billy Schwein, on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, because nothing could be finer than talking sports with a Schweiner.
As fall approaches, you have a lot to prepare for. Back to school, sporting events, family gatherings, and staying on top of your health. The virus that causes COVID-19 continues to evolve. So this fall, no matter what you're prepping for, you can prioritize your family's health and make a game plan for COVID-19 vaccination. Ask your doctor or pharmacist to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
It only takes one bad decision to change your life. And riding after drinking can be one of those. It can lead to impaired reflexes, poor judgment, and then disaster. Think about it. Even one drink affects your ability to ride. Alcohol can limit your reaction time and give you a false sense of confidence. You think it'll never happen to you, but it can. So, if you hit the bottle, don't roll the throttle. Brought to you by NHTSA.
Shop the Sherwin-Williams 4-day super sale and get 40% off paints and stains from August 16th through the 19th. With prices starting at $29.39, it's the perfect time to transform your space with color. Whether you're looking to revamp your bedroom, living room, or home office, we have you covered with bold hues, soothing neutrals, and everything in between. Shop the sale online or visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
I don't like onions. I'm doing paleo. Do they have gluten-free bagels? You can't juggle every food request for a work event, or can you? EasyCater is the all-in-one tech platform that makes it easy to get restaurant catering for work, with options for any group size, taste, dietary preference, or budget. EasyCater saves your favorite restaurants and orders, which makes reordering a snap. Need to modify an order? No problem. So when it comes to food for work, make it easy on yourself with EasyCater. Start your order at easycater.com.
Right now at Wendy's, you can get a small Frosty for $1. And literally everyone is going. The car behind you, going to get $1 Frosty. The car ahead of you, already had one, going for a second. The person who cut you off earlier, you guessed it, $1 Frosty. Maybe it's all a sign for you to go get one. Just don't cut anyone off. No one likes that person. The iconic Frosty for $1, gotta be Wendy's.
Limited time only at participating U.S. Wendy's. Not valid in a combo. Prices may be higher in Alaska, Hawaii, California, and via third-party delivery.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies candidates with the right skills, sends you great matches, then you can easily invite them to apply. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. See for yourself. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try ZipRecruiter for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Hi, I'm Cesar Milan. People are always commenting on how healthy my dogs are. One of the reasons is the food my dogs eat.
Dr. Marty's Nature's Blend is a premium freeze-dried raw dog food designed to support your dog's health, happiness, and lifespan. Save up to 54% off Nature's Blend and get a free bag of cod Krispies. Go to drmartypets.com/deal or text DEAL to 511-511.
Your order is back with a 90-day guarantee.
All dogs are unique. Your dog results can and will vary. Message and data rates may apply.
There he is. It's Agent 00 Chicken. Every move he makes, every chance he takes is to get to Royal Farms Chicken Palooza. And nothing will stop him from getting there. Because he knows that right now, he can get a 3-piece world-famous chicken box, white or dark meat, or chicken tenders for just $8, with a portion of each chicken box sale donated to a local charity. Plus, he can register to win world-famous chicken for a year. That's 3 pieces of hot, juicy, moist, and tender Royal Farms world-famous chicken for just $8. Come to Royal Farms Chicken Palooza. It's a real thriller, but it's only for a limited time. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms. No purchase necessary to enter or win. And September 2nd, 2024. Chicken for a year prize to be awarded as 8 $100 Royal Farms gift cards. For details and official rules, visit royalfarms.com/chicken-palooza. Void where prohibited. Sponsored by Royal Farms.
Home of the Philadelphia Eagles.
They got him again!
Sixers.
Bang! It's good! Ball game!
And Flyers.
Tipped in front of the net!
97.3 ESPN. WENJ. WENJ HD. Millville, Atlantic City. A Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey. 97.3 ESPN presents The Sports Bash with Mike Gill. It's time for Football at 4 with Andrew DiCecco. Powered by the Inside the Birds podcast.
We're never satisfied. That hunger for more. I have it. Everyone has it.
Now live, this is Football at 4.
Football at 4, powered by the Inside the Birds podcast, being brought to you by the Gallery Bar Booking Games and Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City. This football season, you want to go to the Gallery, go to Ocean, go for the win. For more information, visit theoceanac.com. Eagles preseason game 2. What should we look for? Let's ask Andrew DiCecco. He joins us right now for this week's edition of Football at 4 on a Thursday. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. Andrew, welcome back to the show and welcome back from New England. How you doing?
Josh, I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing pretty good. So you had the opportunity to go up and see the joint practice, the elusive joint practice that is like, one of the things that coaches love to talk about and brag about and love to focus on. So for you, big picture, how valuable do you think that joint practice on Tuesday was for this Eagles team?
Incredibly valuable. A lot of folks don't realize this, but joint practices are predicated in getting the first and second teamers reps and different looks situationally so that it prioritizes and places a lot of value on those sessions. It was 2 hours plus. It was 2 hours and 13 minutes. So I think when you have something like that, especially 2 days before a preseason game, it sort of eliminates the need or the cause for the stars to even have to play in that game. I just don't. I think when you're getting enough work like that, especially guys like Jalen and Saquon and AJ and the starting defense, I think that is critical to their success moving forward.
Now, I'm not dismissing the offense, Andrew, because I feel like you and I could have a whole show conversation about the offense. But I'm so glad that you were focusing on the defense in this joint practice, because to me, there's way more questions about the defense than the offense. And I want to start with this. Vic Fangio has been very clear that there is a difference between corner and nickel. Well, a guy who was drafted as a corner, Quinyon Mitchell, continues to get reps at nickel. What have you seen from Mitchell?
Tough, physical, scrappy. He uses his length really well. You see it really show up, particularly on one-on-ones when he's able to get hands on receivers. But I think you're seeing someone who's playing with a lot more confidence. And to be clear, he is a confident player, but I think confidence in a new position. He just seems to have seamlessly transitioned to that. Never played it prior to the summer, but you think you have to tip your hat to him. And Vic Fangio alluded to this, but the goal is to get your best combination into the secondary. And I think having him at nickel allows you to then put Isaiah Rodgers, he's a solid corner, but eventually you'll be able to get Cooper DeJean at nickel and have Nguyen on the outside opposite Slay. And that really, I think, is their depiction of what they want the secondary to look like. But I think right now they've really done well to make it work with all the pieces that they have.
I know DeJean has not been on the field with full team workouts yet, but how long do you think DeJean would need to get up to speed to play the nickel for this team?
Well, that's impossible for me to answer. I'm not Cooper. I don't know what his learning process was behind the scenes. I know that he got a lot of mental reps. He seemed to really take to the nickel and the outside corner role pretty well in the spring, and he was playing fast and getting his hands on a lot of footballs. But, things get ramped up now, and there's a lot more that's thrown at you. But you also have veterans that you're learning from as well. Behind the scenes, you're doing a lot of tablet work and things of that nature. So he very well could be well ahead of the curve, and those 3 weeks necessarily maybe didn't hurt his progress at all. But we won't really know that until we see him. I mean, he said the third preseason game is realistic for him to get back out there. We'll have to see. I imagine the team is going to continue to take a cautious approach to bringing him back and getting him up to speed, because when you have a key piece of their future like this, and you know how fickle hamstring injuries can be, Josh, I don't know that you want to rush him back when you have some pieces in place that can kind of navigate the ship moving forward in the interim.
What's also interesting is that, because Mitchell is in the slot, you mentioned Isaiah Rodgers, and I thought you and Jeff brought up a great point on the latest edition of the Inside the Birds podcast. Like, subscribe, wherever you get your podcasts, is you guys talked about Isaiah Rodgers' size. And I think that's a part of the conversation we haven't had enough about, because it's not that you guys are saying that he can't play the position, but what you're saying is that, hey, listen, there are going to be matchups where he has to look across the field and see Christian Watson, Mike Evans. When you have to see those type of players, you're at a disadvantage no matter how talented or physically gifted you are.
100% right. So he's twitched up. He's athletic. He has the short area quickness. He's good at making plays on the football, but he's 5'10", 175. And what I can say definitively from seeing him for now 12 practices, I've been there for all of them. So I think that's really important for context and to see you have enough data there to really gauge and assess. There's some times where big-bodied receivers give him some trouble. A.J. Brown, that might not be the best example. He gives everybody trouble, and he's very physical at the catch point. But even someone like a Joseph Ngata has had some success working against him in one-on-ones. And players of that body type, I just think that they could be, when you start to get into the red zone and the confined spaces, that's where someone like a Keely Ringo gives you that size advantage and that physicality that maybe Isaiah can't. But right now, Isaiah is the more dynamic playmaker of the two, and he's had the better camp.
Not that you're a inside Vic Fangio's planning, Andrew DiCecco, but you're familiar with Fangio from over the years as a coach. Is Fangio the kind of coach who can maybe cover up a little bit Isaiah Rodgers, maybe protect him a little bit in certain matchups?
I think so, but there's always so much you can do for a 5'10", 175-pound corner. When you have to step up and defend the run, when the run's going to the outside, you have to make a tackle. When you have to go up against a physical, big-bodied receiver on a fade route or down the sideline, when they can really attack the catch point and out-leap you and out-muscle you for the football, there's always so much you can do. You can help them over the top with some safety help. The Eagles aren't particularly deep at safety. They're a little bit banged up as well. I think you might see something of a rotation type with maybe Keely Ringo based on matchups, because Keely's had some good moments, but I thought in New England, if you're looking at a corner that maybe was a little bit on the downslide there, I thought that Keely didn't have his best practice there. But the large sample size, based on the large sample size of practices, he's done pretty well, but Isaiah's been better, been more consistent. Keely sometimes seems to be a tick slower to react. His instincts aren't necessarily where I would expect them to be, whereas Isaiah reached things really well. So that's why you're seeing Isaiah get the bulk of those snaps. But I think Keely could play a factor because of his body type.
Talking with Andrew DiCecco, InsideTheBirds.com for all of his Eagles coverage, at Andrew DiCecco on the TwitterX platform, joining us here on Thursday's edition of Football at 4. Andrew, another position that we're all interested in is linebacker. And at the start of training camp, it was Zach Bond and Devin White getting a lot of the reps. It was Bond and White. And then Dean would get mixed in there. Now it's starting to look like the Dean is maybe ascending up that depth chart, as well as Jeremiah Trotter Jr. So what are you seeing from those 4 linebackers?
Well, I've always said that I thought that Dean was unfairly scrutinized because he hasn't played enough for someone to have opinions strong one way or the other. I've seen him improve throughout training camp. I've seen him make the jump from spring to summer. He wasn't even cleared until the last week of mini camp. But you're seeing someone who, yes, in the early stages of training camp, he struggled in pass coverage. He was slow in transition, especially running backs and tight ends had some success working against them. But he's very exceptional attacking downhill, very physical, very tenacious. And he showed signs, at least in New England, that he could play a little bit more effectively in space. So the fact that he got the start on day 12 and not Zach Bond, who had gotten all the previous 11 days, tells you that Nakobe has some traction. He has some momentum. He's done some good things in the games, and he's picking up things and executing it in the way that Vic wants him to do. Zach Bond's a player that I have some questions about. Didn't look like he got his depth particularly well in the preseason game. He looked like a player, frankly, Josh, that hadn't played the position very much in his career. So that's something that you can have a great camp, but then you have to be able to carry that over onto the field. And I thought that's where Nakobe really checked off the box. And I thought Zach Bond was lagging a bit. Trotter Jr., who you asked me about, is someone who has really impressed me and surprised me, to be honest with you, as a 5th-round pick. This is where his instincts and high-level football IQ have really stood apart. He is the Eagles' most instinctual linebacker, and it's not particularly close. He doesn't have the athleticism or the measurables, but he makes up for it with his otherworldly traits in terms of just instincts and high-level IQ and being in the right place at the right time, plays with physicality. He's going to be a factor this season on defense, I think, sooner than later.
What's interesting is that, when you look through Vic Fangio's history, Andrew, he started a linebacker like Mike Peterson at a very young age. He started Navarro Bowman in San Francisco at a very young age. He has a history of giving young linebackers, if they're the style and the player that he wants, opportunities. And I'm not saying that Jeremiah Trotter Jr. is those guys, but if you're telling me he's that instinctual, then maybe he can fit what Vic Fangio wants more than some of the other guys.
I think that's fair. Like I've seen more from him in game situations and really the last several practices than I have Zach Bond. I think Trotter Jr. keeps showing up. He keeps making plays, whether it's attacking downhill, whether it's making a play on the football, which he did in New England. He had an interception off a Jacoby Brissett pass over the middle. So he's showing that he can acquit himself well in coverage. I don't know that you want to throw too much at him. I don't know if that's fair to do in the early stages of the season. But I have to tell you, I think sooner than later he's going to be a starter because of what he brings to the table in terms of just being reliable and someone that I think Vic Fangio is going to have a lot of trust in to carry out his assignments and do what he's asked.
Andrew DiCecco joining us a couple more before we let him go. Flipping over to the offense, Andrew, we know that we're probably not going to see any starters tonight. So who among the non-starters is Andrew DiCecco zeroing in on for tonight's game?
I'll give you 2 and 2. On offense, it's going to be right tackle Darian Kennard. He played 83 snaps, all 83 snaps last week in Baltimore. He's someone who Lane Johnson went out of his way to offer glowing praise. He can offer right guard or guard versatility, period, which I think gives him a leg up over someone like a Fred Johnson, who is his direct competition. And then looking at tight end E.J. Jenkins, who had a 30-yard touchdown from Kenny Pickett. By the way, he worked with Kenny Pickett back in March in the offseason when they were both training in Florida, and it really shows with their chemistry on the field. So that's something to keep an eye on tonight. He's going to have a lot more snaps with Grant Calcaterra sideline and Alberto Cuebanam sideline. And then defensively, I'm looking at linebacker Nakobe Dean for all the reasons we outlined. He has a really good chance to seize a starting role to at least continue his momentum and that trajectory upwards. And finally, safety Tristan McCullum, who is someone who quietly had a really, really good game last week. Very physical, rangy, long. He's 6'3". He's played in a few games last year. He's on the first team kickoff unit. So he's somebody that the Eagles really like. I don't know if there's going to be ultimately room for him when they're paring down the roster, but I think that he needs to be someone that a lot of folks key in on because he's going to play a lot of snaps. And I think he's got a better than average shot at making the roster.
Before I let you go, Andrew, I've asked this question to Adam Kaplan and Jeff Moshe this week. I want to ask it a variation to you. We know that the Eagles have no defined specific person right now at the number 3 wide receiver and the number 2 tight end. How much do you think that is going to factor into the initial and final 53-man roster decisions?
Grant Calcaterra is the number 2 tight end. Kellen Moore said as much when I asked him back in late July. He said Grant's the 2, and he's done nothing to lose that. But I think that could also aid in trying to find a role for that third receiver role. I don't know that it needs to be in the traditional sense. It could be someone like a Grant Calcaterra at times. Could be a Saquon Barkley or a Kenny Gainwell at times, or even a Will Shipley later in the season when he gets his sea legs. But I think that when you look at the 53-man roster, what makes things really interesting is that you have a number of players, but depth is not about the number of players, it's about the quality of the players. So the Eagles right now, you can say that they have 2 tight ends definitively they're going to be on the 53. That's Dallas Goedert and Grant Calcaterra. I think E.J. Jenkins has done some really good things, has a little bit more upside than an Alberto Cuebanam or C.J. Uzama, certainly. And then receiver, Britton Covey's done a heck of a job this summer. Out of all those players vying for that role, he's been the most consistent. His route running is exceptional. And he's someone that you could see every quarterback back there has confidence that he's going to be at the right place at the right time and catch the football. He dices up corners and one-on-ones routinely. I just think he's had a really good summer. Now, what does that all mean? We'll have to find out. I don't view him as a volume player, but I certainly think he should have a role in the offense. I still, Josh, don't believe that the third wide receiver is on this roster at the moment.
For more insights, follow Andrew DiCecco on the Twitter X platform at Andrew DiCecco. Check out all of his Eagles coverage at InsideTheBirds.com. And, of course, Eagles preseason game 2 tonight. Andrew, appreciate you jumping on. Enjoy the game, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you.
And, of course, don't forget Inside the Birds, the podcast. Like, subscribe, wherever you get your podcasts. InsideTheBirds.com, Inside the Birds on YouTube. And don't forget about the Inside the Birds Patreon page for all of the extra insights. And Football 4 being brought to you by the Gallery Bar Booking Games inside Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City. Go to the Gallery, go to Ocean, go for the win this football season. It's where you want to be, is the Gallery Bar Booking Games. Go to the oceanac.com for more information. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. And we do have a little bit of news. It was confirmed. I was starting to see reports before 4 o'clock, but it looks like it's confirmed now by multiple sources. Well, one of the guys who was a potential target for the Eagles is now somebody who they will see week 2 of the NFL season. Former Broncos safety and former safety for Vic Fangio, Justin Simmons, has signed a 1-year, $8 million deal with the Atlanta Falcons. So the Falcons have pretty much officially overhauled their entire defense from front line to safety after trading for pass rusher Matthew Judon and now signing Justin Simmons. So a couple of interesting points with that. Number one, that means Simmons will not be available for the Eagles to go pick up. And based on everything I've heard and read, it looks like the biggest reason why Simmons is not here is because he wanted big money, right? He wanted a contract that he felt was not going to be like the veteran minimum. I think the Eagles were not willing to go to $8 million. I think that is the clear takeaway from this. I think the Eagles looked at Justin Simmons, they asked Vic Fangio, and everyone agreed that Justin Simmons may not be an $8 million per year player anymore. Now, why would the Falcons pay $8 million for a guy who might not be worth that at this point in time? Well, they will pay it because the Falcons need to overhaul that team. They've invested a lot of resources defensively, in the offensive line, in the quarterback to upgrade that team from last year. That organization is very intent on trying to win the NFC South and put themselves in a position to no longer be a middle of the road mediocre football team. Now, whether it works or not, we'll have to wait and see. But it seems like there is a lot of faith right now in Raheem Morris down there in Atlanta. And you're going to see those Atlanta Falcons week 2, the Monday Night Football, Eagles, Falcons. And you can hear the game right here on 97.3 ESPN. Josh Hennig hanging out with you, filling in for Mike Gill here on the Sports Bash. And speaking of the secondary, one of the things that I took away from Andrew saying was that he talked about, and they did this morning on the Inside the Birds pod, and I wanted to bring it up again here, was Isaiah Rodgers may be the leader in the clubhouse, according to a lot of reports, to have the outside corner job. But you heard Andrew explain it. No matter how physically gifted somebody is, you can't change their size. You can make somebody a little faster, a little stronger, a little bigger, a little more skilled, a little more twitchy, right? But you can't change their height. And if Isaiah Rodgers, now again, we're going based on reports because we know that guys are not always what it says on the stat sheet, right? But if Isaiah Rodgers is basically my height, well, I'm telling you folks right now, I don't care how fast you are, how strong you are, how twitchy you are, how fluid your hips are. You don't want a guy who is my height looking across the field and seeing guys like Christian Watson and Mike Evans and Drake London against them. Because I'm telling you right now, everyone who covers the Eagles says that Isaiah Rodgers is definitely not 5'10". And it kind of reminds me when I was in high school, what they would do is they would place us in cleats and then measure us. And I kind of feel like that is what they did with Isaiah Rodgers. They put him in cleats and they said, all right, you're 5'10". Cleats added an extra 1.5 inches to you right there, buddy. I feel like that's what they did. Because if everyone is saying this dude is not 5'10" at all, and they're all saying he's closer to 5'8" and 5'9", well, Christian Watson is legitimately 6'4". That dude is a beast, and you're going to see him week 1, and you better hope he doesn't line up on the same side as Isaiah Rodgers in that game, because he might get mossed. And if you're wondering, Mike Evans is 6'5". He's even bigger. You could argue Mike Evans might be one of the most physical receivers in football, and he's actually probably more athletic than Christian Watson, which is wild to say. And then Drake London, not as good as the other two, not as good as Watson, not as good as Evans, but Drake London is still 6'4". And he's not as skinny 6'4". He's 6'4", 215. So this is going to be part of the conversation to go through the season. Does Isaiah Rodgers, how long do they keep him at outside corner? And are there scenarios where they take him off the field if he is struggling in some of these matchups? Add it to the list of questions we have for the 2024 Philadelphia Eagles season. I'm Josh Hennig, filling for Mike Gill on the Sports Bash, 97.3 ESPN FM and a 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea City. Coming up next, it's another edition of Nick's Nuggets. Nick Earnshaw joins me coming up next to talk more about, I'm assuming, the Eagles and the Phillies, but with Nick, you never know. So keep it tuned right here. the 97.3 ESPN.
Wake up weekday mornings from 6 to 10 a.m. with Unsportsmanlike on 97.3 ESPN with Evan Cohen, Super Bowl champion Chris Canty, and Michelle Small.
Can't wake up without it.
Brought to you by the Gallery Bar Book and Games at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City.
It only happens once a year. The summer clearance sale at Matt Blatt Kia. Have a job clearing $450 per week? Matt Blatt Kia wants to approve you today. 0 down, 0 payments for 90 days, and 0%. So if you're currently stuck in a loan or lease, we want to get you released. Then take $7,500 off MSRP or 0% for 48 months and no payments for 90 days on every clearly marked EV in stock. Plus, with our 4-day love it or leave it return policy, you can drive with peace of mind.
It's gotta be a Matt Blatt Kia.
With approved credit, 24 Nero EV and EV6, $20.83 per thousand. Not all will qualify. Credit may affect down payment. Offers can't be combined. Go to mattblattkianj.com for complete details or 888-505-6670. Price includes all costs to be paid by consumer, except for licensing, registration, and taxes through KMF. EV6 rebates and incentives to dealer. Expires 9/3/24. Matt Blatt Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township, and on Route 37 in Toms River.
Shop the Sherwin-Williams 4-day super sale and get 40% off paints and stains from August 16th through the 19th. With prices starting at $29.39, it's the perfect time to transform your space with color. Whether you're looking to revamp your bedroom, living room, or home office, we have you covered with bold hues, soothing neutrals, and everything in between. Shop the sale online or visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
The seafood extraordinary, the value tremendous, the sunsets on the house. It's Yuri's Waterfront Restaurant. Dine indoors or on the deck overlooking the bay. The Phillies are always on at Yuri's. Watch the game and enjoy daily food and drink specials, including all-you-can-eat crab backed by popular demand. Yuri's is perfect for families with a kids menu and arcade. Next door to Yuri's is the Boathouse Restaurant. 2 great ways to experience the Jersey Shore's best waterfront dining. Yuri's and the Boathouse at the foot of the bridge in Wildwood.
It's better over here. If you're 55 and up, T-Mobile has an exclusive rate plan just for you. Right now, get 2 lines of talk, text, and data for just $30 a line. That's a 45% savings versus Verizon and AT&T. Plus, you can get one of the latest 5G phones free when you add a line. That's right, a free 5G phone. Experience all this and more on America's largest 5G network. So why wait? At T-Mobile, customers 55 and up can get 2 lines of talk, text, and data for only $30 a line. Just go to T-Mobile.com/choice55 or visit your local store to make the switch.
With AutoPay using debit or bank account plus taxes and fees, 45% off 2 lines versus AT&T Starter and Verizon Welcome. Plan benefits vary. Free phones up to $300 off with 24 monthly bill credits and qualifying new line for well-qualified customers plus tax and $35 device connection charge. Contact us before canceling entire account to continue remaining bill credits. Bill credits end if you pay off device early. See details at T-Mobile.com.
Shop the Sherwin-Williams 4-day super sale and get 40% off paints and stains from August 16th through the 19th. With prices starting at $29.39, it's the perfect time to transform your space with color. Whether you're looking to revamp your bedroom, living room, or home office, we have you covered with bold hues, soothing neutrals, and everything in between. Shop the sale online or visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
As fall approaches, you have a lot to prepare for. Back to school, sporting events, family gatherings, and staying on top of your health. The virus that causes COVID-19 continues to evolve. So this fall, no matter what you're prepping for, you can prioritize your family's health and make a game plan for COVID-19 vaccination. Ask your doctor or pharmacist to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Hi, welcome to Staples.
Yeah, my daughter needs a laptop for college, but I need to watch the budget.
Well, Staples hot deals on tech are backed by a price match guarantee, so our prices won't be beat.
Great. I can't believe my baby's starting college.
She'll do great.
I know.
Oh, let's get you a great deal on a laptop.
Save big on tech for school at Staples. Now get up to $300 off select PCs. Ends 8/24. Price match guarantee valid within 14 days of purchase. Exclusions apply. For details, visit staples.com/price match.
Get your game on at the Gallery Bar Book and Games in Ocean Casino Resort this football season.
Powered by NJM. No jingles or mascots, just great insurance. This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
The Phillies win after a lineup shakeup. I'm Nick Earnshaw with your South Jersey Sports Center and with your 97.3 ESPN question of the day. The Phillies got back on track last night and won a game after losing 4 straight in a row. With that being said, our 97.3 ESPN question of the day is, if you had the Phillies lineup card, would you shake up the lineup once again? Let us know by texting 609-403-0973 or use the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. Last night, they didn't have Trey Turner, but they did utilize Nick Castellanos in the 2-hole in the lineup. I know Kyle Schwarber hit the grand slam. Yes, that was great, but the offense was rolling last night. It needs to happen again. I would continue to try different lineups out here as the Phillies go along into September. Let us know what you think by texting 609-403-0973. Your forecast is next.
Lenny Kravitz presents the Blue Electric Light Tour 2024. Live in Atlantic City. Ovation Hall and Ocean Casino Resort, Friday, November 1st. Get tickets now at theoceanac.com.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zero. Tomorrow will probably be the warmest day of the week, and then the week, 2 or 3 potential rounds of rain. Clouds tonight, low of 66. Tomorrow, increasing clouds, high of 88. Saturday turns mostly cloudy and unsettled. Hit or miss showers during the day. Batch of heavier rain looking likely for Saturday night. More showers and thunderstorms rolling in on Sunday. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today.
New Jersey's got a lot of summer wow. We got your under the sun wows. Your this is too much fun wows. Your that wine was sublime wows. And your one more time wows. So come see what your wow's gonna be. New Jersey, it's one summer wow after another after another. Find your wow at visitnj.org. New Jersey, little state, lot of wow.
You're listening to the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
When I'm driving, I got a guy on the radio who talks to me. I can't see him, but he talks to me.
On 97.3 ESPN.
Josh Hennig filling for Mike Gill here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN, live in the Ocean Casino Resort Studios. And it's time for Nick's Nuggets. Nick is back. I'll see Nick in the flesh tomorrow, but at least for today, I have to see him virtually. Nick Earnshaw's Nick's Nuggets is back for the edition. I'm assuming, Nick, we have some Phillies Eagles talk about. As I told the audience, with you, we never actually know. How you doing today?
No, you really will never know what I'm coming with. What nugget I'm going to have. Is it going to be barbecue sauce? Is it going to be honey mustard? Who knows, Josh? I could be coming with anything today in the nuggets. But yeah, we're going to stick to mainly Phillies and Eagles. I do have one that might be a little out of the realm. I don't know if it's considered Phillies and Eagles per se, but it's a little out there. We'll get into it. But yeah, I mean, how can I not talk about the Phillies? They finally won a baseball game last night, Josh Hennig. I mean, how about that? And I was across the street. I felt I could feel it. I was at the concert yesterday, the Wells Fargo Center. Metro Boomin wore a Randall Cunningham jersey, by the way. It was pretty cool.
I saw that. That was pretty cool.
Tweeted that out on my page. And yeah, I could feel that Schwarbaum grand slam from the Wells Fargo Center across the street. I felt the rumblings after that.
I was going to say, did you? Because there was I'm watching the game on television. There was a distinct audio difference between like the minute before that home run was hit and then the moment he hit it. It was like the speakers on the television almost exploded.
Yeah, I'm the guy who like had it on my phone while I was walking into the stadium with my buddy. And I'm literally watching the game and I'm just like, wow, we're right across the street from that grand slam. But that's where I do want to start, Josh. Nugget number one, the Schwarbaum that probably might have saved the season, Josh. that home run yesterday might have saved the season. Yeah, Castellanos batting second. Things were shaking up. No Trey Turner in the lineup. You put up 9 runs. It seemed like almost everyone had 2 hits last night. Harper had 2 hits. Stott had 2 hits. Who didn't have 2 hits last night? But it was a big win for the Phillies. They finally had the offense rolling. And a little nugget, according to Hall of Famer Jason Stark, do you know what the Phillies' record is when Kyle Schwarber hits a home run, Josh? Just take a guess.
Well, I know, I believe they're 19-2 when in the last 2 years when he leads off a game with a home run.
They are 22-3 this year when he hits a home run.
Now, let me think here. So are we just talking about this year?
Just this year.
22-3. Is that what you just said?
22-3.
See, this gets back to the conversation. I know you and Billy Schwein have argued about this before. It's like people don't want to accept how important this guy is, this team sometimes. And it's like this dude, he hit 40 homers plus back-to-back years, right? Mm-hmm. They are winning over 60% of their games with him in the leadoff role. But yet I feel like we don't talk about him enough, Nick.
Yeah, I feel like he kind of flies under the radar a little bit. Like, not a lot. Like, I don't think people don't forget about Kyle Schwarber. I mean, he's an important part of this team. He's the team leader in that locker room, one of them, at least. Right. I think I feel like he's the most important leader in that locker room, in my estimation. I think he's the most important person and voice in that locker room. Obviously, Bryce is, obviously a big leader in the locker room, and, he's got a lot of say. And he's got a lot of say in the front office, etc. But Kyle Schwarber, I mean, this guy's been there, done that, won a World Series a couple of times. Two? One with the Chicago Cubs and one with the Red Sox, right? He won one with the Red Sox.
He did not win the Red Sox.
He didn't win with the Red Sox.
No, he was not on the 2018 team.
Okay, so it was a different team that he was on.
Yeah, but he did win with the Cubs, yes.
Because he's had moments in big games. That's the point I'm trying to make, Josh. Yeah, like he's been in many big games. He's level-headed. He's the leader of this team. He's 31 years of age. He's been there, done that before. And he's been your most consistent player for the most part all season long. Guy's batting .254, 383 OBP, 28 home runs, 78 RBIs in the leadoff spot. I mean, who wouldn't want this guy on your baseball team? And who wouldn't want him leading off, Josh?
Yeah, by the way, it was Red Sox 2021 he was on.
Okay.
So, yes, he was not on the 2018 team. I thought that was correct.
Yes.
Double check.
Correct. I appreciate that.
Yeah, to me, as I said, we don't talk enough about Schwarber. I think it's a very interesting that, when you think about baseball, I had this conversation, we talked about Rob Thompson in the last hour again, and it's like players got to do their job. And it's like, well, Kyle Schwarber's doing his job. The problem is nobody else is doing their job sometimes.
Yeah, and that's kind of conversation we've had for like the past couple weeks, right? Like nobody else has been hitting. Schwarber's come up big in a lot of games. Like they've won a lot of their games recently because Schwarber hits a home run. Like because of the home run. We have to realize this is a home run hitting team. The Phillies are a home run hitting team overall. Like if they're not hitting home runs, there's a good chance they might not win. And the stat right there with Kyle Schwarber, when he hits a home run this season, they're 22-3. That's a gigantic number according to Jason Stark. So, shout out him for putting that out there into the X universe. And I saw it today. I was like, wow, that's pretty crazy. But yeah, I mean, this is coming from a guy who's leading off. Like he's not your typical leadoff hitter. Correct. Billy and I, like you mentioned, have argued about this ad nauseum. I've won the debate. It's over. There's no question anymore. He realized
you're declaring yourself the victor already.
Oh no, he'll second that. He'll declare me the victor as well. He's done it already on Saturday. So, I'm not gonna gloat or anything like I am right now, but it is what it is.
You're gloating.
I know I'm gloating. And I'm proud to be gloating over this. But yeah, like he's not your typical leadoff hitter, speedster, guy who could steal bags, etc. But it works for this team. They win games when he leads off. He gets on base at a really good clip. He's hitting more singles this year. He's got 104 hits. The home run's a little bit down, but he still has the power. And when you have the opportunity to start a game with a home run, it scares the other team's pitcher like no tomorrow. So he is the perfect guy in the leadoff spot. And, it showed again last night. That grand slam may have saved the season. The Schwarbomb that saved the season, Josh, essentially.
It very well have. And you know what? It was funny because I had Matt Gelb on yesterday before the game. And Matt Gelb said that this team needs somebody to hit a home run, and that will change everything for this team. Well, what happened last night? Schwarber hits a grand slam, and the bullpen, no runs. Hoffman, Strahm, Alvarado, Estevez, bang, bang, bang. I'm just saying, maybe the good vibes are rolling again.
That's how it should go, right? I mean, guys hitting home runs, a Schwarbomb slam. No other way to do it. And then when you have the bullpen come in and do their job, that's the best part, Josh. The best part when the bullpen comes in.
Do your job.
Yeah, Estevez, he's got his own entrance now as the closer. I love it. That's the vibes of the Phillies I need. And, it's big to get the win, but, they got to keep doing it. They got to keep doing it. They got 70 wins now in the season. They got the Nationals for 4 games now to end this homestand, and you got to get as many at home as you can because you've had a lot on the road. You're going on the road to end the season a lot. And if you got to win every game possible when you're at Citizens Bank Park. And, against the Nationals, you're not playing a very good team there. So you better take at least 3
straight left-handers this week.
Really? 3 straight? That's wow. So Mitchell Parker is pitching tonight, right?
Yeah, he's a rookie. He's left-handed. Tomorrow is Patrick Corbin, and Saturday is Mackenzie Gore.
Funny fact, I called a few of Mitchell Parker's games when I was working in Wilmington as a play-by-play.
Any insights, Nick Earnshaw?
Yeah, at this point, I don't think he's that great. I don't think he's going to give you much. You should be able to hit him pretty decent.
Well, let me ask you a question because you asked the question in your update about the lineup.
Mm-hmm.
Bryson Stott in the lineup against a lefty. Rob Thompson a couple days ago, he's liked how Stott has been hitting. Do you, Nick Earnshaw, think that maybe, just maybe this is part of it? Maybe this is kind of one of those like, hey, he's never seen this guy before and he's never seen Stott before. That's why we're keeping him in.
Yeah, I think so. In his last 7 starts, Parker hasn't been great. He's had a ERA over 5, 19 earned runs in those 7 starts. I think, this is an opportunity against not a great opponent to keep Stott in and give him those at-bats, right? Give him the opportunity to prove himself, build his confidence back up against a bad team, against a guy like Mitchell Parker, who's still very young. He was a draft pick in 2020 by the Nationals. He's come up through the ranks, through their system. So he's a big lefty, but he will give up some base hits, that's for sure. And I think that's why you're going to see Stott tonight, Josh, in the lineup, because it's the Nationals, right? They're not a great team. Rookie left-hander at Citizens Bank Park. I think it's an opportunity to get his confidence back a little bit. That's why you're seeing Stott instead of Sosa.
All right, what else you got, Nick?
All right, nugget number 2, sticking with baseball, but not Eagles or Phillies related. It's kind of Major League Baseball related here, Josh.
Okay,
I don't know if you saw this report. Major League Baseball is considering a 6-inning limit for pitchers. They must go 6 innings. Now, obviously, there would be rules, with this. Like if a pitcher throws 100 pitches, they could be taken out of the game. If he gives up 4 more on runs, they could be taken out of the game. Or a pitcher gets injured. Those are kind of the ideas being floated around. But the MLB is seriously considering this due to the fact they don't want pitchers focusing on the high velocity. Now, will this happen? I highly doubt it. But it's an idea that's been floated around Major League Baseball, and they are seriously considering it. So, Josh, I ask you, is a 6-inning limit for pitchers necessary? I get you want pitchers to go longer and go deeper into games, but placing a limit on pitchers and constraining a manager, that's not right. That's not the correct way to go about this.
Look, it's a horrible idea. Because number one, it's not every pitcher's not the same. Okay, not everybody's durability, strength, ability is the same. You can't legislate to everyone to be the same. It's absolutely ridiculous to me. Number 2, it's absolutely ridiculous that baseball thinks they need to save people from themselves. These are grown adults, Nick. Okay? At some point, they got to do their job. Just do your job, people. Stop worrying about, can he pitch 100 pitches? Can he go? Because we have learned not all pitchers pitch the same. John Smoltz and Greg Maddux both have over 3,000 strikeouts. Are you going to tell me they're the same pitcher, Nick Earnshaw?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I think this is a terrible idea. When I read this report today, I read a number of different articles on it. I'm just sitting there. I'm just thinking, why are we messing with it? Now we're doing way, 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 way too much. Like the pitch clock. It's a good idea. It speeds up the game. Fine. Great.
Love the pitch clock, by the way.
It's great. The disengagement rule. You also have the 10th inning rule, the extra inning rule, the ghost runner. I don't really love that rule, to be honest. But, you've added a lot of rules in recent years, and you keep tinkering with them. Like they tinkered with the pitch clock this year. They took off seconds, I should say, between pitches with nobody on base. Like, what are we doing here? Stop messing with the rules so much. Like, you can't do it all at once. It's like Rob Manfred wants to push everything on the plate all at once. And I just think it's so wrong. And an innings limit for a pitcher, this is out of hand. Like, I understand the max velocity thing, not great. You don't want to see your best pitchers in the game get hurt all the time. Fine, I understand that, but this is not the way to go about it. And, you have to let the game evolve and naturally go run its course and, see how it ends up, right? Like, if pitchers continue to get hurt, maybe they'll stop doing it. Maybe they'll train differently, but it's how they're brought up. And that's why they're focusing on the max velocity and how fast pitchers throw. I'm not a proponent of putting a limit on managers in the game and having Major League Baseball have its hand in the game, like for a manager. Like, it's essentially what you're doing.
Yeah, I think it's totally stupid. I think this is one of the dumbest ideas I've ever heard.
It's crazy. And, of course, it's under Rob Manfred's, regime here as the Major League Baseball commissioner. I've not been a fan of his as he's made some questionable decisions. This one would be the absolute probably worst one. This would be worse than the Astros thing and that debacle. That would be 10 times worse than anything. So do not limit the pitchers. That's ridiculous. 6 innings. I get everyone wants to see a pitcher go 6 innings. I think the pitchers themselves want to go 6 innings. Don't put a limit on it. That's just outrageous and unnecessary. All right. Nugget number 3. Let's move it along. I know this. We've talked about Jason Kelce a lot, Josh. We floated the idea. At least I have, and you hate when I do this. Jason Kelce returning because he's around the team so much. And he clarified in a report to the Associated Press what
Rob Maaddi spoke to him. Yeah.
So I thought it was hysterical. He's like, my days of playing are just done. That is the quote that came out of it, Josh. So he's done. He wants to let Cam Jurgens do his thing. He's moving on, but you can tell he still loves being around the Eagles.
Well, yeah, he loves the camaraderie. He loves the guys, but he said something to Rob. He also said to Chris Long on Chris Long's podcast. He told Rob Maaddi of Associated Press the same thing, that, he really wants to lose some of this weight off of his body. Yeah. And he's really fighting to get down to like 260 and less. And he's been stuck at like 275 for a while now. So it's like, congratulations, you lost weight and you get stuck. And there's now, I don't know if you heard this, they call it the Kylie rule. That Jason has to go to the gym a minimum 3 days a week.
Hey, that's like my rule. So I'm following the Kylie rule.
Because Kylie told Jason that he is in a better mood after he goes and works out. And the reason why she's okay with him hanging out at the Eagles facility is because she said it gets him into some sort of, schedule work life, whereas him just hanging around the house and doing nothing.
Yes, and I agree with that. I like the Kylie rule. I'm continuing to follow the Kylie rule that you and Clem and them have set for me. Basically to go to the gym. It's the Josh and Clemic rule. It's essentially the same thing as the Kylie rule for Jason. But yeah, it's cool to see him still hanging around, but there's no way he's coming back. It seems like it's done. We can put those rumors to bed. It's over. He doesn't want to come back. And it's Cam Jurgens' time under center as the center of the Philadelphia Eagles now.
Oh, well, I don't know if you saw this. It's raining right now in Foxborough.
Oh, it is. It's raining. Well, you can kiss the starters goodbye. There's not going to be one starter playing if it's raining.
John Clark reported earlier, reading this what you will. He already reported earlier that no offensive starters were going to start tonight anyway.
Right.
But there was still a chance some of the defensive guys.
Yep. I did see that. I did see that reported earlier, but I mean, if it's raining, you might not see many on the defensive side either.
Well, listen, we saw that last week, right? And they played anyway. So
it's true. It's very true. But that I think it ended before the game started last week, I should say. So we'll see. We'll see how many starters play today. If they do even play, it's not going to be for very long. It might be for a couple plays, a series, if that.
So I'm looking on weather.com right now. If we're projecting out this rain, there's going to be a thick, one of those like big cluster clouds coming up about 5 o'clock. Nick Earnshaw, I am not a weather expert, and I did not stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night, but I think this game may not start on time.
It may not. Can you get out of a rain game too? Like, what do you take away from a rain game, especially in the preseason when you're trying to evaluate guys? Like, seriously, what are you going to take away from that?
Good question. I'm not fully sure. I'm pulling up what the exact weather projection is right now. See, there is a thunderstorm warning in effect.
Not great.
In the Foxborough, Norfolk County area. Now, the warning is only until 5 p.m.
Okay.
So they are projecting this is a pretty fast-moving storm.
So it's going to get out of there. So it should be dried up by the time kickoff.
Well, I wouldn't say it's dried up.
But it'll be less.
Here.
It's not going to be
a lot less.
Okay.
It's supposed to rain, though, until 7 o'clock.
Interesting. Well, we'll see if they can get. We'll see if they get it in. We'll see how many of the starters actually do step on the field and take some reps today, especially in the rain. I don't know what you're going to take away from that in the most part when it's raining in Foxborough. We'll see how it shakes out. But I do want to add a bonus nugget before I get out of here for you.
Do it.
Because I know this is your favorite thing. When the NBA released its schedule today, by the way.
Oh, good.
I know you're a big schedule release guy. So
schedule release.
I wanted to let you know that the 76ers, they have 27 national games this year. I think last year they had 21-ish around that. So 27 national TV games for your 76ers. And every game against the New York Knicks on national television.
By the way, really quick to verify, there is no tarp on the field in this video I'm looking at.
That's
at
good.
Foxborough.
I'm being sarcastic, but that's good. No, I know I'm being sarcastic. That's good. That's real good.
I mean, who is the imbecile who says, we don't need a tarp on the field? Like in Baltimore, they had that tarp on for like almost 2 days.
Well, this is what happens when Belichick leaves. So who knows what's going on
Apparently,
up there in Foxborough. All right, Josh.
Okay, so NBA schedule release. I know the Sixers and Celtics play opening night, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. I think it's the Bucks. I believe it's the Bucks. I think it's the Bucks. Yes.
Or do the Sixers play the Celtics on Christmas? Is that what it is?
I think it's Christmas. Let me double check that for you. But I know they had a ton of national games this year. They do have a lot of back-to-backs too, which I'm not in love with.
It's the dumbest thing the NBA does.
I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't know why you would schedule that many back-to-backs. It's got to be more than, I think it's more than last year. I can't remember the exact number. It's right around 15 back-to-backs or something like that. 82 games. That's a grind, man. That's a grind.
So stupid.
So
it should never be a back-to-back unless you're not traveling very far.
Right. And you know what's great? I'm going to be attending some of these Knicks games because I can't wait to that. Yes, they open the season against the Bucks, by the way. That is okay. That is the schedule, and they play the Celtics on Christmas.
Good for them.
Yes. Your favorite day of the year, Schedule Association, the NFL, big schedule release guy, Josh Hennig. I will see you tomorrow.
You will see me tomorrow, and we will not break down the 82 game schedule.
We're going game by game. Every minute of the 4 hours, we're going to 82 minutes, and we're going to
I will literally pick you up under my arm and carry you out of the building and throw you in the parking lot if you try to do that to me tomorrow.
Oh, it's going to be a great time. Can't wait to go and dissect the entire schedule tomorrow with you, Josh. I'll see you, man.
Nick Earnshaw, Knicks Nuggets here on 97.3 ESPN. Yes, he will be in tomorrow with me for the full 4 hours on 97.3 ESPN, as I'll be covering for Mike Gill one more day tomorrow. So Nick and I will tag team the Happy Hour Friday show tomorrow on 97.3 ESPN. We'll get more into the Eagles coming up next. Like I said, it's raining in Foxborough. We'll ask Chris Franklin, how on earth does a professional football team not have a tarp down when it's raining outside? I'm Josh Hennig, filling in for Mike Gill. 97.3 ESPN FM, 97.3 ESPN mobile app. It's free. Thanks to First Bank of Seattle. And we'll get back to the text coming up in the next hour, 609-403-0973.
This is South Jersey's official home for Philadelphia Eagles football. The Eagles continue the 2024 preseason tonight in New England against the Patriots.
They've got him! It's a sack! It's Brandon Graham!
Listen to all the action with Merrill Reese and Mike Quick with pregame coverage starting at 6 p.m. and kickoff at 7. This is the play-by-play home of the Philadelphia Eagles. 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's Eagles station.
As fall approaches, you have a lot to prepare for. Back to school, sporting events, family gatherings, and staying on top of your health. The virus that causes COVID-19 continues to evolve. So this fall, no matter what you're prepping for, you can prioritize your family's health and make a game plan for COVID-19 vaccination. Ask your doctor or pharmacist to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
High five! Up top! Heck yeah!
Dave's company just got the first ever 5-year price lock guarantee from Comcast Business.
Yeah, 5 years!
It's 5 years of gig speed internet.
High five for gig speed.
5 years of advanced security.
Security win.
And 5 years of a great rate that won't change.
Our rate ain't changing.
All from the company with 99.9% network reliability.
There it is.
He hasn't given this many high fives since Deborah brought in her famous banana bread.
Woohoo!
Now he's got savings.
I'm so excited.
Yep. Dave's feeling it, but it's only for a limited time, so don't wait. Switch today and ask how to get the first ever 5-year price lock guarantee from Comcast Business. Powering 5 years of savings, powering possibilities. Comcast Business.
And it's hurting, but I am not stopping.
Woo! Ends 8/21/24. Guaranteed rate applies to monthly service charge for new customers on qualifying internet bundle, excluding taxes and fees. Other restrictions apply.
Shop the Sherwin-Williams 4-day super sale and get 40% off paints and stains from August 16th through the 19th. With prices starting at $29.39, it's the perfect time to transform your space with color. Whether you're looking to revamp your bedroom, living room, or home office, we have you covered with bold hues, soothing neutrals, and everything in between. Shop the sale online or visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
This year, Dell Technologies' Back to School event is delivering impressive tech with an inspiring purpose. Learn how Dell is helping Computer Aid, whose work is helping solar community hubs with tech and AI literacy skills to empower remote, displaced, or disconnected communities around the world. Help Dell make a difference and shop AI-ready PCs powered by Snapdragon X Series processors at Dell.com/deals. That's Dell.com/deals.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
Gotta change my oil.
How about Valvoline Restore and Protect? It restores and protects your engine to run like new.
Get in zone.
It restores your engine to like factory clean?
And protects.
Get in zone.
So Valvoline Restore and Protect restores and protects.
Now you can get 5 quarts with an STP extended life oil filter for $37.99.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
If you or someone you know needs help getting through a difficult time, start with NJ211. When you reach out to 211, we can connect you to help with housing, utilities, food, childcare, senior services, income support, healthcare, legal issues, and more. Help is available in over 150 languages, and the service is free, confidential, and available 24/7. Need help? Dial 211, text 898-211, or search nj211.org.
Timmy, everybody. Great job. Next up for our 5th grade class recital, we have Samantha.
10 times better performance can make a big difference. Castrol Edge Motor Oil gives your engine 10 times better high-stress performance. Castrol Edge, better oil for maximum performance. Now through December 28th, Castrol Edge and Edge High Mileage Motor Oil are on rollback at Walmart.
Claim based on sequence 9 test under high-load conditions versus API SP test limits.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies candidates with the right skills, sends you great matches, then you can easily invite them to apply. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. See for yourself. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try ZipRecruiter for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Lowe's knows our great paint savings mean you can get the colors you want at prices you'll love. Right now, get 20% off 1-gallon cans and 5-gallon pails of Valspar Defense paint or Cabot Stain. Shop now because it's the perfect time to maintain your deck and paint your outdoor spaces. Visit us in-store or online today because Lowe's knows home improvement. Valid through 8/21. Selection varies by location. See store at Lowe's.com for details.
Getting behind the wheel after drinking could change your world. Bobby here had a great time at the party and thought he was good to drive home. Now, Bobby's facing jail time, an upset wife, disappointed parents, and up to a $10,000 fine. It only takes one bad decision to change your world forever. Getting behind the wheel after you've been drinking is one of them. Drive sober or get pulled over. Learn more at NHTSA.gov. That's NHTSA.gov. This message brought to you by NHTSA.
Are you annoyingly inattentive? Do you watch a movie and then ask a zillion questions because you weren't paying attention? Do people ask, how do you sleep at night? Then you should get a mattress from Mattress Firm. They can help anyone sleep. Head to Mattress Firm's best sale of the year, the Labor Day sale. Get a king bed for a queen price. Save up to $700 plus a free adjustable base with select Sealy mattresses. Get matched at Mattress Firm. Sleep at night. Restrictions apply. See store or website for details.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. Go ahead, feel your engine. Admire that perfectly installed exhaust. Your vehicle's moving along this freeway like it was made from fresh installs and a whole lot of love. With eBay Motors, you get over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Go for the endless ocean views and the non-stop entertainment. Go for the lucky whirls and the late night twirls. Go for the gourmet eats and the next level sweets. Go to celebrate. Go to rejuvenate. Go for an escape that's anything but ordinary. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
South Jersey's official play-by-play home of the Eagles, Sixers, and Flyers.
At 0 point would I ever consider not being a fan of the team.
97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City. A Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey. This is the Sports Bag. 3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. Now live from inside the Ocean Casino Resort studio, here's Mike Gill.
5 o'clock hour of the Sports Bash. Josh Hennig filling for Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN as we are counting down to the Eagles taking on the Patriots, although it's starting to look like this game is not going to start on time. I mean, what kind of professional organization sees rain in the forecast and says, you know what? We're not going to put a tarp on the field. But I got to give him credit. Chris Frank from NJ Advanced Media, he just reminded me, you know, it rained last time the Eagles were in New England as well. And he joins us right now here on 97.3 ESPN. Chris, welcome back in. How you doing today?
I'm doing all right. I'm a lot better than I'm down here now. I'm not watching it pour up here. Maybe all those trees really working. So that's going to be a fun thing watching the rainy, sloppy preseason football.
I mean, for those who didn't hear the story, so I talked about in the last hour, a couple of the media people who were up there put out videos of it raining up there. Now, according to the National Weather Center, the thunderstorm watch or warning or whatever it is supposed to be ending soon. So that's the good news. We are going to have a game. The problem is, Chris, it might not start on time, and the hope was we would see some of the defensive starters. Are you starting to wonder who we actually will even see?
Yeah, I think so. And I really was looking forward to looking at the second cornerback spot, especially seeing Ringo and Rodgers still really good at it, and especially in the team. I want to see James Bradbury, how he progressed going against the Patriots backup. So I wanted to see that something. I think there'll be some calculated decisions probably. I don't foresee Huff going out there again for guys like Jeremiah Trotter, Nicole Dean, and guys like that to really go out there and get right that first play.
When you think about this team, because obviously they had the joint practice on Tuesday, and a lot of times the coaches, they value that more than the game, right? So, we're not going to go into this game and get like massive insights about like, oh my gosh, I saw this and that. But it's part of the bigger picture, right, Chris? It's part of the bigger picture of how does all the pieces fit, right? Like, to me, I'm not going to get this game tonight as a definitive answer, but it's definitely another, shall we call it, paragraph in the scouting.
It's an intangible thing. It's really intangible. Part of a heavy intangible thing, and part of you want to see who wants to be out there. Who wants to be out there first of all. Like, you can go through the motions on, okay, I know my shot here and there, but who's excited to play? Who's really amped up to play? Who's, and more importantly, who has learned from what their mistakes from last week's game versus to what they did in this week? There's so many assignments, and there's somebody said, oh, yeah, we only had a low amount of in terms defensively, but there's some opportunity also. Like, you saw how the game started, 19-yard run, 19-yard catch by the running back, and the linebackers, nice stuff like that. And from these younger guys, prove that they really can play out there with caliber guys, play press and play cleanly. Offensively, there's going to be some holes going on. Correctly, even where technique comes in. So you want to help the line. And guys like Gary Kennard, I want to see him come out there again, fortify himself in the floor and really push for a backup job and make him really interesting. Little things like this are intangible.
Speaking of guys, let's talk about some of these position battles. I'm fascinated how, a couple weeks ago when training camp started, all we heard was On and White at linebacker. And they were working the Kobe Dean. But now, since that preseason game 1, we're seeing a lot more of Dean, and we're even seeing Trotter Jr. get on the action. And it looks like On might not be a leading candidate for the inside linebacker.
Well, this is a WWE script. All of a sudden, we need two in terms of like especially when you release the depth chart. I thought it was really curious that they had Jeremiah Trotter Jr. Okay, if you want to keep everybody on the same level, I get the Dean and the ball and different line part. But you really stuck it in there and said, you know what? It's a 4-man race for this. Now all of a sudden, you're seeing Jeremiah Trotter games. Surprisingly, he's played probably, arguably, out of all 4, he's probably the best coverage out in terms of the game and some of the practices. When you look at Vaughn, I think you still see some of the stuff where he's more of an edge rusher, and he still can be a valuable partner. Now, I think he give him all the stuff he can now in case he gets hurt again, unfortunately, because he's got to worry about his reliability in that aspect. But I think he can use him more edge. And they still have to say that I'm not so sure even Devin White. I think Devin White is still playing this year. It's so fluid in this all-female linebacker. Nobody's really taking that job and says, you know what, I'm the starter here. That you still have so many question marks in terms of that, is because they're all, in my opinion, they're all. The guys are getting team, and it's funny that they play well together off of each other. Have been Dean and Jeremiah Trotter. I still don't think Jeremiah Trotter is going to start the season. Dean, I still question. I think they really want to give him every shot they can, and they may push him a little bit more along to see him start. But yeah, Vaughn versus Dean is really getting closer than what it started to appear to be.
You mentioned White. So of the 4 main guys, right? White, Dean, Vaughn, Trotter Jr. As of right now, and of course this can change because we all know how it works in sports. Who do you think makes the most sense based on what Vic Fangio wants from his linebackers?
When it comes to the middle, you want the guy who can drop back deep, like in that middle, and like all like the Tampa 2 that we've seen so far, but also can fly the ball, get there. Right now, and also with coverage. Right now, Vaughn has edged Dean in that aspect. Because Dean's coverage has been like a subpar, even with on having those issues beginning the Ravens game last week. And then when you look at the Will, that's where he usually likes his most athletic guy, because not only do you get to fly the ball from that weak side, also you may be told that, hey, you got to hook the curl area in the middle where you're facing some tight ends a little bit more, and who knows, maybe some wide receivers too. And White, you would think White to me is the most athletic of the bunch, but it just seems like he drifts sometimes away from his coverage responsibility. Is not consistent in terms of that. So but I think he's the one you put in there right now. However, if he continues to still have these issues, that's why I think he can use Trotter, or maybe they make some personnel packages, because Fangio likes the 2-4-5 at times. You have one of those fours like a stand-up edge rusher. You can pack them in with a stand-up edge rusher. Why not put Vaughn there? He's got the experience doing that. He can try to move them around, play the shell game, who's coming where and doing that. So if looking at what happens right now, that's why I think that the whole Vaughn White is why they've used it so much. But it still could be a little bit better than what we've seen so far.
We're talking with Chris Franklin from NJ Advanced Media here on the Sports Bash. Josh Hennig for Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN. Follow Chris for all of his coverage at Steve Franklin News. You mentioned blitzing. Who's actually very experienced in blitzing for the linebacker position is Jeremiah Trotter Jr. Just saying. Yeah. I mean, that was half of his time at Clemson. Like, he didn't have the gaudiest sack numbers, but you watch those Clemson games, he was coming up the middle, he was coming from the right, he was coming from the left. He was hunting those quarterbacks a lot of times.
Yep, especially the A and B, the gaps between the center and guard, and the guard and tackle. Especially guard and tackle one. He has a nose for where to get to try to find the ball. That's one of the specialties very well. And the way that I've seen Dean has proved that he can do that very well, especially in that guard, between the center and the guard. He's rushed very effectively in terms of that. So you just want to see, and Dean, you hear about how his leadership, and you see all these intangibles. You see that person, you just want to see him actually make a play in the passing game in terms of holding or like being beat, like he's giving up a step or two. Where I don't know whether he's still thinking things through, whether it's just he's a step slow athletically, which you hope you don't see, because when you see him blitzing, see him in run defense, you see that. So, but yeah, Jeremiah Trotter and Nakobe Dean, they're really good blitzing. And Fangio has shown that he's not afraid to do it. The Dolphins had the 7th lowest blitz percentage last year under Fangio. Yeah, I think we'll see from time to time, depending on the opponent and depending on the quarterback. And that quarterback usually has happy feet and decisiveness. It shows like he's not afraid to use it when it's depending on the matchup.
When you think about this team, obviously I mentioned blitzing. Vic Fangio has talked about how edge rushers are not the linemen and nickels are not corners and inside linebackers are not outside linebackers. So sticking to the aforementioned edge players, one of the conversations we've been having, Chris, is what is Bryce Huff and Nolan Smith going to be this year? Because I think we all can agree that in the absence of Hassan Reddick, who at this rate might not even play this year, the way things are going with the Jets, what is Huff and Smith's value going to be to this team this year?
I think when you look at both of them, it's going to have to be in the pass rush and the edge, because run defense, you look at Smith and he's worked on his hands. He's done the work. Like between Muay Thai and Jiu-Jitsu, he's trying everything to try to get his hands so his offensive lineman can get in there. But we've seen so far they've been able to do it. He's gotten better, but he's still been able to do it. And so you hope that he just uses his quickness like Graham did when he was young. Brandon Graham when he was young. You hope he tries to emulate that same thing. And that he just got off to a slow start and he does that. With Huff, Hassan Reddick wasn't the most dedicated run stopper. But with Huff, you look at what he's doing there, he still hasn't consistently got that done in terms of setting the edge and then turning things back inside to let the other guys get there, because he's just getting blocked. Going against Lane Johnson, yeah, they'll do that to you sometimes. They'll make you look pretty bad, but you just want to see it when in against other competition. This is why, even though you play, I don't advocate for him doing it tonight, playing it all because of the rain. But if you do play him, play him for 3 or 4 snaps, especially on first and second down, to see what he does to get him some more experience. And not only do we have to see him in terms of that pass rush, I want to see him in terms of stamina, because he's going to be playing almost double the snaps that he did last year with the Jets, and the Jets even knew just use him more passing down. So it's one of those things, if for Huff especially, he's got to earn his money by rushing the passer if he's not going to hold his own against the run.
You mentioned against the run. I want to know from you, when you look at this defense as a whole, I've asked this question of others, and listen, I have my own theory about Vic Fangio and this defense, but I want to know you from Chris. Is the talent on this team up to the level that Vic Fangio would want to execute the defense the way he wants to?
I think everything except for the edge. I think even because you can get by. I think when you look at the linebackers, you can get by if your defensive tackles do really well and keep them clean and let them flow to the ball. I think you can get by on that. Secondary, we all know they're improved. They're really good on that, and a lot better than what they were last year, especially not relying on undrafted free agents to try to fill out the rest of your roster. You got bona fide guys in there like Rodgers and Quinn Mitchell and Cooper DeJean when you finally gets up and running again. But the whole thing falls apart if you can't get pressure on the quarterback. You can have the best secondary. You can have all these guys that are back there in coverage, but then they cover for 5-6 seconds, things are going to open up. And we saw that happen last year because there wasn't a consistent pass rush that was able to get there. And this whole defense, and I know I've said Jordan Davis is the most important guy there. The second most important guy on that defense is going to be Huff. And it's going to be Huff, and then maybe you get Sweat being like third on that. Because if you can't get pressure up from the edges and they block up and bottle everything up from that defensive line, teams are just going to pick it apart. I mean, even Derek Carr is going to – Derek Carr's of the world, and everybody else are going to be able to figure that stuff out. So I think that – and I still look at the depth there, and I got questions about that. Just questions about Smith. Huff, you're hoping he bounces back and he's the Josh Huff, the Pro Bowl level Josh Huff that you saw, and not the one that had struggled to get sacks in the second half of the season. And you're hoping, relying on Brandon Graham in his 15th season to really turn things up as well too. Maybe you get Patrick Johnson. You got guys like that. You're hoping you get something from one of those guys in the rotation to really elevate that rush. And there's so many questions that you have there now, and that could be the Achilles heel of everything. I think he would love to have that upgrade a little bit better than what he has right now.
Chris Franklin from NJ Advanced Media. A couple more before I let you go. Can we talk about the secondary for a minute? Because the Falcons just signed Justin Simmons today for 1 year, $8 million. And I'm not trying to speak for the Eagles, Chris, but I'm just saying it seems like to me that Howie Roseman and Vic Fangio didn't think Justin Simmons was worth $8 million.
Yeah. In terms of that, yeah, because that's a lot of faith in CJ GJ and Reed Blankenship. Because Simmons and they use a lot of three safety looks too, and I think that Simmons could have been done really well in that and closer to the line of scrimmage, where you maybe say if you put CJ GJ, have him play close to the line of scrimmage, and you have your back two safeties too deep being Simmons and Reed Blankenship. I feel a lot comfortable with that instead of hoping you have somebody else step up and do that. And he's not the Justin Simmons from a couple years ago. No, he's not that guy. But I look at what his instincts are, and the fact that you have a bona fide safety who's seen a lot of route combinations, who can help support in the run, and who knows the system already, who's very familiar with the coaching staff. I thought that was a signing that would have made a lot of sense. And even the Eagles still have a lot of cap. I know they have to roll some of that over to give him some space for the increase in the salaries for next season, but he's a guy that I think would have really solidified that position and give you even more flexibility of what you want, because we know secondary is positionless in a way, and how they have to do the man underneath and these elaborate zones and stuff like that. But he's a guy that can be a wrecker, especially if you put him in the right position.
You mentioned the right position. Quinyon Mitchell was drafted, Chris, as an outside corner. He's been working as a nickel corner, but now Cooper DeJean is going to be back soon. He's going to start working. I got the meme of Vince Lombardi saying, "What the hell is going on here in my mind?" Because it feels like we were told for weeks that it's Isaiah Rodgers, he's the leader in the clubhouse. But then it's like Now we're having the conversation about, well, where does DeJean fit in this? And I just keep wondering, can't we just maybe admit that maybe DeJean is just not going to be a starter this year?
Yeah, I think, and I don't think he was going to start. Like, I thought maybe if he started camp, maybe he would have been in the conversation. But I still think it's really tough to ask a rookie to play that role and being a starter. And I think that with the whole having to have Quinyon Mitchell play in the slot more and that nickel was all because of DeJean's injury and his ability not to be on the field. And I think if anything, it gave you a bonus that knowing that you have Mitchell was able to do it and do it effectively too. So I think if you're trying to look for a silver line, I think that was the best thing in terms of that. But DeJean still has, I still think he's going to be a nickel guy. I think now with this injury, he's slowly working back in. Maybe he's the dime guy. You put Quinyon in there, or say if you decide to really do something weird, say if you move on for Avante Maddox or what have you, or you have Maddox play more safety, maybe that's where he starts. You put Phil in a little bit more there, but I still think there's still many question marks in terms of that. But that injury, I think, really set back in terms of how you're going to use him in that first part of the season, because he really needs to be ramped up. He's got to get the stamina going, got to get ready individual drills, and you can do some. He's doing the mental reps. He's part of walkthrough, but there's only so much how that can go, especially in the walkthrough. You're not running full speed or in the bubble, what have you, especially with him not being in patch. So you can do all that, but until he gets ready for a game speed, I still think it's a ways away before you really think about him being a potential starter in this defense.
Over on the offensive side of the ball, Chris Franklin, what is going to be more important to the 53-man roster as we start formulating that? Number 3 receiver or number 2 tight end? And I don't care that Kellen Moore said Calcaterra is number 2 tight end, because the dude's been injured more than anybody else. Okay. The guy can't stay healthy. Okay. And don't tell me EJ Jenkins and CJ Uzama and all those guys are enough. There's got to be a plan, because we know Kellen Moore loves to use tight ends, right? And we know the number 3 receiver may be important if, God forbid, something happens to Smith or Brown. So as this 53-man roster starts working down, we might need to start talking about that number 2 tight end and number 3 receiver.
You got one guy who can fit both in a way. That's Johnny Lawson. Because in a way, when you use him as a third wide receiver, if you use him, even though he's not a tight end per se, you can line him up in the slot. He's a big enough body to really get a guy. If you want him to crack down on a defensive end, do like a toss, he's big enough to do that. He's done okay with that blocking in terms of that. The thing that your biggest question mark you have with him is when the drops are going to pop up, and that was a knock for him coming out Florida State, is from the drops. Otherwise, if you just want to say, hey, you know what, you want a big body, and you want to say line him up next to Dallas Goedert, really free up Goddard, or you can do that. You have the ability to do that. If you want to use this, as much as I know everybody hates, it still has the shell shock by wide receiver screens, which. Yeah, I know. After last year, they try to do it a lot. It's part of this offense still. It's still part of this offense. You have that. You can block out that way. If you want to run him in like a RPO type of settings, you can do that. It's basically, if you just use him, line him up, say a yard after like a nasty slot where he's on the line of scrimmage, a yard off from the tackle. It's almost like he can act like a tight end in that role. So that might be a way you can get around it for time being. I mean, Uzama, Alberto, like you mentioned, Calcaterra in that one too, is kind of rough to do that. And I asked specifically, and I was curious to see this because I know Kellen Moore loves his offense. I wanted to see about the H-back because he's used it back in Dallas. And I think especially when you look at when they had Witten and then they also had Dalton Schultz, they had granted, I know there's two better tight ends than what you got currently right now. But it's a good way to really try to throw different looks at the defense. And you look at that, who plays that H-back role, and I'm sorry, Uzama, I got question marks. Calcaterra, you're hoping you can get a whole season out of him, but truth be told, you're really thinking like 10, 11 games maybe, and you're lucky because of what has happened in this past. So there's so many questions there, but I think the way you can solve that right now is just use Johnny Wilson on both, and you can solve both roles for the time being.
He's Chris Franklin. NG Advanced Media is where you get all of his Eagles coverage at C Franklin News on the Twitter X platform. Also, the No Huddle Show podcast, NJ.com coverage. Am I missing anything here?
He's good. I'm still working into the other one, so I'm not wrong.
I'm just trying to keep up, man. Trying to keep up.
Yeah, I'll still Eagles focus on that right now. But the other stuff right now. This is South Jersey, so yeah, Eagles country.
Well, it's one of those funny conversations where it's like South Jersey is Eagles country, but they that like part of the area that's like, oh yeah, Giants.
Yeah. What, the 195 dividing line. Yeah, which one of you sides are you on? Oh, well, we're mixed up. Yeah, no.
We're mixed up.
No, this is thick with Eagles out here.
Chris, I appreciate you jumping on. I haven't seen any updated pictures or videos or tweets about the weather up there, so that might be either a good or bad. I'm still investigating.
Yeah, so let's just hope it's not like a rain delay where you have to hear to try to fill stuff, or we're watching a 1980s Eagles NFL film thing while they're trying to wait for the rain delay to happen. We know what happens. Okay, we get it. But yeah, here's hoping to the game getting on time.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we're all hoping it starts on time, but I got the feeling because we got the Eagles games here in South Jersey on 97.3 ESPN. I got a feeling the Hall of Famer Merrill Reese might have to do some airfill tonight.
Oh yeah, we're bringing Coven stories. Time in Canton, Dan Walter versus Mike Quick. He's got a lot of stuff he can go with. This is actually,
oh yeah,
I might have to listen to this. Yes,
I'm just saying. I mean, maybe we can get a story about Mike Quick and about his one of his games we haven't heard yet.
Oh, that would be fun. Hey, Mike, remember the time you had 99 yards at Giants? I said, yes, Merrill, I talked about it.
Chris, I appreciate you jumping on, man. Take care of yourself.
All right, thanks for having me on.
Chris Franklin joining us here on 97.3 ESPN. Josh Hennig hanging out with you on a Thursday night. Yes, we will keep you updated on the Eagles preseason game number 2. Coverage begins at 6 o'clock tonight. Merrill Reese, Mike Quick on the call at 7, right here on your home for Eagles football in South Jersey, 97.3 ESPN.
You're listening to the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
He's getting better.
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
The new John Deere Gator XUV lets you cut, pack, drive, scout, weld, stack, feed, pull, load, tow, spray, and haul, all in a single day. Because with the highest cargo box volume in its class, customizable features, and a towing capacity of up to 4,000 pounds, it gets the job done. You just have to get in the seat. Learn more at your John Deere dealer or visit johndeere.com/GatorXUV.
Tired of hearing scary radio ads about the IRS? Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000 or $500,000, we have a solution. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS with zero risk to you. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with a BBB. End your tax nightmare today by visiting TRA.com or call 800-275-3490. That's 800-275-3490.
Must qualify for enrollment. Results may vary.
It's the summer closeout sale going on now at Matt Platt Nissan. New Matt Platt Nissan Rogue S under 30 grand, just $29,999 with zero down and just 2.9% for 60 months. Plus, if you're stuck in a loan or lease, AJ the Trade Man can get you released. So bring it to Matt Platt Nissan.
Oh yeah, it's on at Matt Platt Nissan.
New 2024 Nissan Rogue S, just $29,999 with zero down and 2.9% financing for 60 months. But when they're gone, they're gone. And every new Matt Platt Nissan comes with our 4-day love it or leave it return policy. Have a job clearing $450 per week at Matt Platt Nissan. You're virtually approved today. Matt Platt Nissan.com. Unapproved Tier 1 credit through NEMAC. Negative equity will be refinanced into new vehicle plus tax tag and $589 fee. Offers can't be combined. Call 877-289-6670 or go to mattplattnissan.com for complete details. VIN RC 738396 MSRP 31115. Offer ends 9/4/24. It's on at Matt Platt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township.
Hi, welcome to Staples.
Yeah, my daughter needs a laptop for college, but I need to watch the budget.
Well, Staples hot deals on tech are backed by a price match guarantee, so our prices won't be beat.
Great. I can't believe my baby's starting college.
She'll do great.
I know.
Oh, let's get you a great deal on a laptop.
Save big on tech for school at Staples. Now get up to $300 off select PCs. Ends 8/24. Price match guarantee valid within 14 days of purchase. Exclusions apply. For details, visit staples.com/price match.
Right now at Wendy's, you can get a small Frosty for $1. And literally everyone is going. The car behind you, going to get a $1 Frosty. The car ahead of you, already had one, going for a second. The person who cut you off earlier, you guessed it, $1 Frosty. Maybe it's all a sign for you to go get one. Just don't cut anyone off. No one likes that person. The iconic Frosty for $1, gotta be Wendy's.
Limited time only at participating U.S. Wendy's. Not valid in a combo. Prices may be higher in Alaska, Hawaii, California, and via third-party delivery.
Sharing with roommates is hard. Like sharing a thin wall with a wannabe music major. But you know what's easy to share? Xfinity Internet. Get fast, reliable internet that's powerful enough for all your roommates to be online at the same time. That means while your roommate streams trumpet tutorials, you can put your headphones on and play your favorite video games. With the volume turned up, of course. Like, way up. Get a special student offer on Xfinity Internet for just $25 a month for 1 year. Plus, there's no annual contract, which means you're not locked in if you move out next year. What's even better, you'll also get Wi-Fi equipment and a free self-install kit included. To learn more, go to Xfinity.com/student, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit an Xfinity store today. Limited time offer. Restrictions apply. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account. Taxes and fees extra and subject to change. New off-campus students with qualifying Xfinity Internet.
Joey, let's get some drive-through.
Yeah, bro. Food. I'm gonna have to ask you to step out of the car, sir.
Joey, let's get some drive-through, man.
Let's order delivery instead.
If you feel different, you drive different, and driving high is a DUI. If you think no one can tell you're high, think again. Your friends, family, and especially law enforcement can see right through it. If you feel different, you drive different. Drive high and get a DUI. Brought to you by NHTSA.
Get your game on at the Gallery Bar Book and Games in Ocean Casino Resort this football season.
Powered by the all-new BetParks New Jersey Casino and Sportsbook app. BetParks.com. This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
The Phillies win after a lineup shakeup. I'm Nick Earnshaw with your South Jersey Sports Center and with your 97.3 ESPN question of the day. The Phillies got back on track last night and won a game after losing 4 straight in a row. With that being said, our 97.3 ESPN question of the day is, if you had the Phillies lineup card, would you shake up the lineup once again? Let us know by texting 609-403-0973 or use the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. Last night, they didn't have Trey Turner, but they did utilize Nick Castellanos in the 2-hole in the lineup. I know Kyle Schwarber hit the grand slam. Yes, that was great, but the offense was rolling last night. It needs to happen again. I would continue to try different lineups out here as the Phillies go along into September. Let us know what you think by texting 609-403-0973. Your forecast is next.
Don't miss Borgata's $1.5 million summer showdown. Now through August 31st, 1,500 winners will earn a share of $1.5 million. Plus, 2 lucky players will win a 2024 Ford Bronco or Jeep Rubicon. Earn entries for drawings held every Saturday, including 2 grand prize drawings on July 27th and August 31st. The $1.5 million summer showdown, only at Borgata Hotel, Casino, and Spa. Must be 21 or older. Players must be present to win. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow. Tomorrow will probably be the warmest day of the week, and then the weekend turns unsettled with 2 or 3 potential rounds of rain. A few clouds tonight, low of 66. Tomorrow, increasing clouds, high of 88. Saturday turns mostly cloudy and unsettled. Hit or miss showers during the day. Batch of heavier rain looking likely for Saturday night. More showers and thunderstorms rolling in on Sunday. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today.
97.3 ESPN has teamed up with Seize the Deal for incredible weekly offers from some fantastic local restaurants. Here's this week's big deal.
Get a $50 gift card, good for use, at Sassy Cafe and Suites in Mullica Township for just $25.
Get this great deal starting Friday at 9 a.m. at SeizeTheDeal.com. Hurry, chances are this deal will sell quickly. For more info on this great deal, go to SeizeTheDeal.com.
SeizeTheDeal.com. We have the perfect solution for sitting in traffic.
You come with me.
The Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
5 o'clock hour of the Sports Bash being brought to you by Kia Acura of Atlantic City. For a great car buying experience, go see Rocco and the team at Kia Acura of Atlantic City, located on Tilton Road in Egg Harbor Township, your small but friendly dealer. Check their whole inventory online at KiaAcura.com. Before we check back in on the text board at 609-403-0973, Shaner and EHC, I want to get to his text in just a minute. But I genuinely believe that this Eagles team, once they figure out some of these other pieces, they can just add them to the main pieces. Because it's not that the number 3 wide receiver or the number 2 tight end is going to make or break this season, right? It's not that the specific rotation of the linebackers is going to lose you 7 games, right? It's not that Quenya Mitchell or Cooper DeJean are, as individuals, going to lose you a bunch of games in the slot. It's the fact that all of these pieces combined, if the puzzle pieces don't go together, the picture is not going to make any sense. So you got to make sure that the right parts are in the vehicle together. And to me, that's a big part of this conversation. A big part of this conversation is understanding that, look, if Britton Covey is your number 3 receiver going into the year, on the surface, it sounds great. But in reality, when you dig deeper, if A.J. Brown gets a concussion, has to miss the game, or Devonta Smith sprains his ankle, has to miss a game, you really want Britton Covey on the outside going to mano-a-mano coverage? Let's say they play the Browns coming out of that bye week. You really want Britton Covey out there against the Browns defense as a primary receiver? Definitely not. And so that goes back to the question that has been asked by a lot of people who cover the Eagles. Is the number 3 receiver for this team even currently on the roster? I think that's more likely than not. I think it's more likely that the player who the Eagles need at that position might not be on this team. Now, the tight end is interesting because you heard Chris Franklin break down that they want Grant Calcaterra to be the 2, but they also have CJ Uzomah. They have EJ Jenkins. They have Alberto. They got some guys there that could back up Dallas Goedert. But none of those guys I just named are you feeling great about if Dallas Goedert gets injured again. Remember, Dallas Goedert has been injured almost every year since he came to Philadelphia. And I'm not saying it to be mean or negative or condescending to the guy, but he missed 3 games last year. He missed 5 games the year before. He missed 2 games the year before that. And the year before that, he missed 5. So he's consistently missing 2 to 5 games every single year for the last 4 years. This is why I say your number 2 tight end matters. Because if Grant Calcaterra himself can't stay healthy, am I really going to depend on him to save me at Dallas Goedert? Something happens to him. I think that's ridiculous. I think it's absolutely ridiculous that anyone is going to assume that. I think the Eagles are going to either pick up somebody after the waiver cuts happen, or they're going to make a trade before the waiver cuts happen to address both the number 3 wide receiver and the number 2 tight end. Because whether it's Chris Franklin from NJ Advanced Media, whether it's John McMullen from Jacob Sports, whether it's Jeff Mosher and Adam Kaplan and Andrew DiCecco from the Inside the Birds podcast, InsideTheBirds.com. I mean, it doesn't matter what Eagle insider you want to point to who we've talked to here on 97.3 ESPN over the last couple of weeks. They have all basically told you the same thing. They have all basically told you that This team doesn't have enough at those positions. And even though I still agree that the Eagles figured out their defense is probably one of the most important things coming into this year because how much invested you have in those changes, the offensive issues are just as much of a question. Speaking of a question, I've been asking the question, what is going on with this game tonight? And I keep scrolling Twitter like a fiend, losing track of time. And it seems like the game's happening tonight. Okay. I was just scanning something real quick. The game is happening tonight. They are confirming it's going to happen. I'm just not sure if it's happening at 7. The NFL put out a tweet earlier. It says, we have football tonight. Eagles and Patriots. But I'm telling you guys, I don't know if this game is going to be the prettiest game in the world. This might be way uglier than game 1 was. Bad weather, sloppy field. I mean, the Eagles may tell all their starters to just go pack it in and take your pads off at this point. The way that rain was coming down earlier and saw a couple of the videos online, it is not a good look. So be prepared for a lot of backups tonight. All right, let's get back to text board. 609-403-0973. Your DMs into the 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle City. Shaner in EHT chimes in and says, I project Cam Jurgens to be turned into a top 5 center in this league, thanks to Jason Kelsey's tutoring and having Lane on that offensive line. He says, Josh, you have to agree that Lane is a monster, along with Jordan Mailata on the line. A good run game should alleviate and maybe support the growth of this offense. While Jalen Hurts is a key, if he has a bad year, Howie will move on or draft someone behind him like he did with Carson with Jalen years ago. But to me, Shannon EHC says it's all about the QB. Go Birds. So a couple things. One, you know that saying where it says, rumors of my demise have been grossly exaggerated? I would reappropriate that for Jalen Hurts. There has been a perception put out there that Jalen had a bad year last year. And frankly, it's one of the greatest lies in all the sports. In the last 50 starts, Dak Prescott and Josh Allen have more turnovers than Jalen Hurts. Now, did Jalen Hurts have a down year in 2023 compared to how he played in 2022? From efficiency standpoint, absolutely. He had more interceptions. He was not as crisp of a passer. He definitely had games where he did not look as comfortable and as good at processing information. But yet he still had more passing touchdowns, more passing yards, and he had more rushing touchdowns last season compared to the year before. So there's been an exaggeration of Jalen Hurts' what do you want to call it? His depreciation, his playing ability, how last season went. I think the ugliness of last year's end of the year turned the Hurts conversation on its head. And it became something where we believed or we thought or we assumed Jalen maybe was worse than he really was. Because during that losing streak at the end of the year, everyone played poorly. Yes, the quarterback gets a lot of the attention, but the offensive play calling was trash. The defense was bad. Guys dropped balls. I mean, do you guys remember the time that Smith and Brown dropped balls? We were like, well, that's uncharacteristic of them. Jason Kelsey with the false start and the different penalties, couple games. That was not like him. So I understand, Shane on HT, that you say that it's about the quarterback. But I think the quarterback, as you just said about Cam Jurgens, is going to be a byproduct of the team around him. You know, if Cam wasn't playing on a line with Mailata, Dickerson, and Lane Johnson, you wouldn't feel as good about him sliding in this opportunity. And I see the same thing about Jalen Hurts. I would feel differently about Jalen if that offensive line in front of him wasn't so good, if the receivers weren't so great around him, if the running back wasn't Saquon Barkley, if the coordinator wasn't Kellen Moore. So I just say that take that positive energy that you are investing in Cam Jurgens because of the people around him and give it to Jalen as well. And realize that Jalen Hurts, like I said, last year, he had a better overall season in certain statistical categories than 2022. If we're going off of the stats, there's only 2 numbers that were negative for him from one year to the next. Interceptions went up, which you could argue is a byproduct of bad play calling because there were a lot of plays last year that were predetermined throws. They were not Hurts going through progressions. So there's that. And the other thing that went down was the overall rush attempts. So you got less of an ROI, return on investment, ROI, on Jalen Hurts, the runner, than you did the year before. You had 160 less rushing yards than 2022. So I think Jalen Hurts, I'm not as sweating as much as some other people are. And I'm just saying, if you're going to give Cam Jurgens that much of the benefit of the doubt for a guy who has never started an entire season center in the NFL, if you're going to give him that type of belief, you got to give the Jalen as well. Got to give the same energy. And the only way how he's going to draft another quarterback is if Jalen doesn't just regress this year, if he hits a massive wall. Like, if he throws 20 interceptions, right? If Jalen Hurts doesn't throw for more touchdowns than last year, if Jalen fumbles the ball a bunch, like, if they don't get back to the NFC Championship game, like, those are scenarios where I can see them being like, our quarterback's not looking too good. But aside from that, I think it's safe to say that Jalen's the guy for a while. And yes, I do agree that Lane Johnson's a monster. Shannon and EHD. All right, we'll wrap up the hour. Coming up next, Josh Hennig hanging out with you, filling in for Mike Gill here on the Sports Bash, 97.3 ESPN FM and 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
We have the Phillies covered.
Swing and a high fly ball, well struck left field towards the corner. That's got a chance, and that is gone. Home run, JT Realmuto.
Get the best Phillies baseball coverage on the Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN.
Go for the endless ocean views and the non-stop entertainment. Go for the lucky whirls and the late night twirls. Go for the gourmet eats and the next level sweets. Go to celebrate. Go to rejuvenate. Go for an escape that's anything but ordinary. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
As fall approaches, you have a lot to prepare for. Back to school, sporting events, family gatherings, and staying on top of your health. The virus that causes COVID-19 continues to evolve. So this fall, no matter what you're prepping for, you can prioritize your family's health and make a game plan for COVID-19 vaccination. Ask your doctor or pharmacist to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Getting behind the wheel after drinking could change your world. Bobby here had a great time at the party and thought he was good to drive home. Now, Bobby's facing jail time, an upset wife, disappointed parents, and up to a $10,000 fine. It only takes one bad decision to change your world forever. Getting behind the wheel after you've been drinking is one of them. Drive sober or get pulled over. Learn more at NHTSA.gov. That's NHTSA.gov. This message brought to you by NHTSA.
Shop the Sherwin-Williams 4-day super sale and get 40% off paints and stains from August 16th through the 19th. With prices starting at $29.39, it's the perfect time to transform your space with color. Whether you're looking to revamp your bedroom, living room, or home office, we have you covered with bold hues, soothing neutrals, and everything in between. Shop the sale online or visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
There he is. It's Agent 00 Chicken. Every move he makes, every chance he takes is to get to Royal Farms Chicken Palooza. And nothing will stop him from getting there. Because he knows that right now, he can get a 3-piece world-famous chicken box, white or dark meat, or chicken tenders for just $8, with a portion of each chicken box sale donated to a local charity. Plus, he can register to win world-famous chicken for a year. That's 3 pieces of hot, juicy, moist, and tender Royal Farms world-famous chicken for just $8. Come to Royal Farms Chicken Palooza. It's a real thriller, but it's only for a limited time. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms. No purchase necessary to enter or win. And September 2nd, 2024. Chicken for a year prize to be awarded as 8 $100 Royal Farms gift cards. For details and official rules, visit royalfarms.com/chicken-palooza. Void where prohibited. Sponsored by Royal Farms.
Some people just know the best rate for you is a rate based on you with Allstate. Not a rate based on Terry who keeps and makes the car behind them. Oh no, they're about to. Save with DriveWise and the Allstate app and only pay a rate based on you.
Not available in every state, subject to terms and conditions. Rating factors and savings vary, and in some states your rate could increase with high-risk driving. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
As fall approaches, you have a lot to prepare for. Back to school, sporting events, family gatherings, and staying on top of your health. The virus that causes COVID-19 continues to evolve. So this fall, no matter what you're prepping for, you can prioritize your family's health and make a game plan for COVID-19 vaccination. Ask your doctor or pharmacist to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. 120,000 miles of night drives, daily commutes, and who knows how many.
Are we there yet?
Through countless fixes, elbow grease, and a new radiator, you kept your ride alive. With eBay Motors, you have over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Hi, I'm Cesar Milan. People are always commenting on how happy and healthy my dogs are. One of the reasons is the food my dogs eat.
Introducing Dr. Marty's Nature's Blend, a premium freeze-dried raw dog food.
I have been feeding them Dr. Marty's freeze-dried raw formula for years. And this food is a big part of why their jaws are more flexible, their teeth are cleaner, and their coats shinier, and why they seem more youthful and playful.
And dog parents across the U.S. are loving it.
My dog Hazel is a 10-and-a-half-year-old golden retriever. And ever since I've been feeding her Dr. Marty's Nature's Blend food, she is like a puppy again. It's unbelievable.
We're so confident your dog will love it. Your order is backed with a 90-day guarantee. And for a limited time, save up to 54% off Nature's Blend and get a free bag of Cod Krispies. They're wild-caught, ultra-crunchy cod skin treats. Go to drmartypets.com/deal or text DEAL to 511-511. Text DEAL to 511-511 today. All dogs are unique. Your dog results can and will vary. Message and data rates may apply.
Save thousands at Matt Blatt Kia. Get out of your old trade today, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth. Go to mattblattkianj.com for more details. That's mattblattkianj.com.
It's gotta be a
Matt Blatt Kia.
You're listening to The Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Josh Hennig back here on the Sports Bash, 97.3 ESPN. Don't forget the 5 o'clock hour being brought to you by Key Acura of Atlantic City. Go see Rocco and the team at Key Acura of Atlantic City, located on Tilton Road in Egg Harbor Township. Your small but friendly dealer Visit their entire inventory online at Key Acura of AtlanticCity.com. And, the way the car business works, for those who don't know, you want to check the inventory daily if you're looking for a vehicle. That's not something you just sit around and be like, well, I looked at it once. I know what's on the lot. No, Key Acura is going to be getting cars in pretty much every day. So even if you don't exactly see the car you're looking for, just give Rocco and Key Acura of Atlantic City a call. Let them know what you are looking for, and they could probably help you find it. They could probably help you get the vehicle that you're looking for, even if it's not on the lot this very second. Again, Key Acura of AtlanticCity.com. Check you on the text board one more time before we get out of here. 609-403-0973. Couple messages that came in before we wrap up here. By the way, shout out to everyone who's been texting in today. It's been a blast getting all these text messages on the text board throughout the day. I know everybody's had a very, people are trying to get all of their activities in before the end of the summer, and we always appreciate you guys keeping us tuned here to 97.3 ESPN as you're running out and about with your activities. I did want to finish up with the Phillies conversation because the Phillies will be back in action tonight. And I am genuinely curious to see what happens the next 3 days. For those who don't know, the next 3 days, the Phillies are facing left-handed pitching. And like I said, I am incredibly curious to find out, are they going to be able to get this right with the pitching? Like, are they going to get the matchups right? Is playing Bryson Stott tonight going to work out for this team? And if it does work out tonight, do you play him again tomorrow? Do you play him again the next day? So that's definitely something I'm keeping an eye on with the Phillies tonight. Now with the Eagles, look, I keep scrolling Twitter like a fiend right now, trying to get any more updates on this Eagles game tonight. So without any concrete hard changes to this conversation, I'm watching the linebackers tonight very closely. The evolution of this linebacker depth chart between White, Dean, Bond, and Trotter Jr. incredibly fascinates me. By the way, I do have an update on the Eagles game. The rain has slowed and players now back on the field for warm-ups. Good news, because coming up next is the Eagles pregame show, and then Merrill Reese, the Hall of Famer, and Mike Quick have you covered at 7 p.m. here in your home for the Eagles in South Jersey, 97.3 ESPN.
Hey, South Jersey, this is Billy Schwein. Tune into The Locker Room every Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. to noon on 97.3 ESPN. Each weekend in The Locker Room, you will get passionate sports talk from a fan's perspective, along with interviews with some of the biggest names in sports. That's every Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. to noon in The Locker Room with me, Billy Schwein, on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, because nothing could be finer than talking sports with a Schweiner.
From playtime to showtime, Atlantic City always serves classic summer fun with a twist of cool.